Some people think that our heart is our most vital organ. Actually, it's not. Our brain is. Our mind is a maze, a labyrinth of experiences from birth that creates the reality we live. God designed us to thrive on earth with joy through human interaction and relationships that shape and mold us. But what happens when those interactions break us and shatter the hope and the innocence we once held? How do we find our way home? How do we pick up the pieces? Can we ever be made new? There is hope for the brokenhearted because our Savior and Creator designed us to repair. We just need to be shown the way. Join us on a journey as we learn how to take Jesus to our past, restore what was lost, and bring healing to the fractured soul.
Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
You all coughed up? You know what you're choked up about?
Dolly Parton.
Dolly. If we do it, it's going to be in their head the whole show. So
You have to say something.
we had Dolly Parton. I can't even say it. Dolly, just Dolly. She's gone on to the other side. We're not sure which side, but we're going to pray that it's the
Some
upper side.
Christians are absolutely sure of what side she's on.
I'm not so sure. So here's the thing. What is going on with this? There. Wait a minute. So here's the thing. Friend of mine tells me Dolly's gone. Started a little bit of a conversation. Here's the problem. This is what I want to say about Dolly Parton. Voice unmatched. So good.
I would
Infectious.
say matched.
Nah, dude. I think she's
that great.
oh yeah, you don't listen to her. She's great. You girl, she's got some pipes. Okay, so hear me out. Problem is that yes, she did a lot of good things, especially for kids and the reading and stuff like that. So like I did always want to go to Dollywood because it just seemed really fun. Hear me out. This is what I said to my friend. That in an era where purity was still a prevalent thing in America,
Yeah.
she pushed the envelope on sexualization, and she did it with an accent, innocence, and a smile on her face. And with them pipes, everybody just said, do what you want to do, girl. You sing, you can just do you, be you. And Leah, what did you say in the car? Where she was the type of person that would walk in the room and make everybody believe that she didn't want anybody to look at her because she wanted it all to be about everybody
She was
else.
fake humble, guys.
But then, like, you don't walk in a room like that.
And here's the thing, she owned it. She owned it. Her whole brand.
It's a brand.
When I was in Girl Scouts,
Oh my gosh.
we had songs that when we would sing, and there was one
You're not
one
gonna
with
do that right
lyrics,
now.
and it said, "Let me see your Dolly Parton." What's that you say? Said, "Let me see your Dolly
You would
Parton."
do that with other people.
What's that you say?
You know, like, let me see your Oscar
let me
the Grouch.
see your Superman. And
Right.
so, of course, it as Girl Scouts, because I guess this is something appropriate for Girl Scouts. If you're going to show somebody your Dolly Parton, you're going to stick your chest out or put, two giant pillows in your shirt and walk around. Okay.
That never, first of all, thank God I didn't do Girl Scouts. That I've never heard this story from you
Let me see
until
your Dolly
right now.
Parton.
That is horrible. Who is
So-
doing this?
So here's the thing. She was not getting anywhere in the music industry.
Okay.
And so she was like, just like Marilyn Monroe.
She
Marilyn
found a
Monroe
shtick.
was Marilyn Monroe was plain.
Mhm.
She was a plain Jane,
Okay.
but she got a few gigs in very, very early pornography, like pinup
Oh,
magazines.
yeah. 100%.
And she found that she liked the attention,
Mm-hmm.
but she wasn't that pretty really, and she didn't have what you would call a hook. So she actually had dishwater blonde hair.
She had the hooker.
Okay. And so she dyed her hair blonde and she
Mm.
made herself like a hook. She gave like
First of
something
all,
that would attract people.
Would you like to dress dyeing your hair blonde? Because, you don't get to use that as
Yeah,
an
that's
example.
not a
And then we
hook.
show up on here with
Yeah.
you like,
Well, I was supposed to do just some light highlights.
We did light highlights.
They'll grow out in a little bit, kind of light highlights, so you're not
Mm.
really supposed to see her there.
You know what Uncle Jack says? The only difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut, 2 weeks.
Good highlights and bad
Good highlights and bad highlights.
Yeah, we can go back to
2
Bethany to put
weeks.
some low lights in.
Bethany was amazing.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yeah. Highlights, you're
You
good.
get what you paid for.
You're good. You're good.
What did you
Michelle.
pay, Michelle?
Nothing.
What did you pay her?
Absolutely zero.
Then you get what you paid. You got more than what you paid for.
I did. I
You
got
more than
lots.
what you paid for.
It's working. Okay. But okay. That's not Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton, I remember watching like 9 to 5, a movie as a kid. I just kept thinking to myself.
You watched
as
that
a kid.
As a kid?
We're working 9 to 5, way to make a living. Yeah, of
working.
course we all did. It was like, here's the thing. When you're a kid in the 80s.
I
and
did
you
not
have
see that movie. I mean, I
no
saw like
cable,
passings of it, but
you've got no cable. You get 5 channels.
Mhm.
Okay. NBC, ABC,
CBS.
CBS, PBS, and Fox. So channel 19 is what our channels, and they would play the 80s movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they played that one like a lot.
Long live the
Okay.
80s.
The 80s. So same thing with Dolly Parton as Marilyn Monroe. She wasn't getting anywhere. Okay. And so she lost a lot of weight, about 50 pounds.
Holy cow.
And so then she had some implants.
Oh, dear God.
Okay. The implants were in the 1980s.
Mm-mm.
And then she,
They're so bad for you. They're dangerous for your body.
yeah. She said she joked for years the total cost running into the millions just to keep the girls looking the way she wanted them to look.
Hang on, wait. What are we going to talk about here tonight? Because it's not Dolly.
I know. We're going to talk about schools. So in the 1980s, Dolly Parton didn't just have implants. She became known as, a chest the size of 2 basketballs. Okay. And I am not happy with the Christians who are like, but Dolly Parton did good. Dolly Parton donated things. Well, if Jeffrey Epstein donated things, and I'm not saying she's Epstein.
No, she's not Epstein.
Okay, but when your entire brand
Mm-hmm.
is on low cut, cleavage showing, the guys, she didn't wear just any clothes. And people will say,
Everything she owned had to be
well,
tailored.
she couldn't just wear any clothes. Yeah, actually she could. Because I know
wear
a
big old
lot.
sweatshirt.
I know a lot of big chested women.
Mm-hmm.
I know zero
They get custom clothes.
that get those kinds of custom clothes. And not even just those kind of custom clothes. She's getting nipped and tucked to give herself the tiniest waist possible. It's not normal. It's not natural. Nothing about her on the outside exuded God
Now,
or the creation of the Holy Spirit. And there are scriptures. Now, I'm not dogmatic on this, but can we just have a conversation? This was not a woman who got a little Botox. This is not a woman who got a little fillers. It's not a woman who just got a little plastic surgery. This is a Jan Crouch on steroids, okay? This is not a woman who walks into a room and is like, hey, I'm humbly here just kind of trying to look nice and look my best, right? This is, I want you to look at my chest.
100%.
I want you do not she constantly wore fishnetty things right here so that men and women are constantly looking right here. Okay. This is not a woman who was accenting beauty. It was sexuality.
100%.
She accented her body in a sexual way until the day she died.
Yeah.
Okay. Until she was 80, she was so vain, sexually vain, that when she entered a room, she was like, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here and my chest is here and you're going to look at it, whether you like it or not. And you know what? I'm going to sing Jesus songs all the way.
Let's address 2 things and then we're going to get on to the rest of the show.
Sorry, I got to. It's on my chest. I got to get it off my chest.
You really had to do that.
Dolly didn't. She never got anything off her chest. Now keep going.
What have you reduced the show to, really?
What has Dolly Parton reduced her body and life and legacy to?
Okay, so
Okay.
Here's what I want to address. And
you should be dressed.
How many Dolly dad jokes do you have in there?
I don't know. Keep going. We'll see.
Mine earlier was it'll probably be an open casket and she'll probably be popping out of it. That was my joke. I did.
Or
But that was in
she
the car.
will look like herself because she's
She would
always
look like
plastic
herself.
surgery.
Okay. So here's the
The
deal.
fillers are already there.
Let's not reduce to their level. The problem is that when people, let's take homosexuals, for instance.
Oh, good. I know where you're going.
When people want you to accept their sin
Mm,
and normalize it,
come on.
they foist it on you. And you have
Foist
to
it.
accept it
Yes.
or you're a bad person.
Mm,
And so they make you
Mm.
treat them like they're just like everybody else. But they're not. They're actually causing people to sin. They're
Yes.
actually forcing their sin into your space. It's not, I'm living my sinful life. Just let me let me, do my own thing. That's not what they are doing. They are literally saying, I am living a sinful life, and you are going to have to receive that into yourself. And that's what Dolly Parton unfortunately did until she died. So we pray for her soul.
1 Timothy 2. Women should dress modestly and have self-control. The idea is not dogmatic. It is that you're not supposed to purposefully come into a room to the point where you're purposely drawing all the attention to you. I'm going to use this word one more time. On purpose. You know what? There are naturally very beautiful people. And you know what? You can dress really nice and you can wear makeup and you can do whatever, okay? As long as your purpose is in a humble way and you're not thinking I'm entering this room so that everybody will look at me in a prideful, vain way. Okay? Now, this is what I can't stand about Dolly, and I've never been able to stand it. I don't know why other people can't spot it. How can you not spot false humility?
Mm-hmm.
You spot it when the person who's used to getting all the attention, like somebody doesn't know that a famous race car driver drives cars. So he enters in a room and he's used to being like, ah, shucks, right?
Okay.
But nobody knows who he is. And he's just having to go up to people like,
hey,
you know who I am, right? Because I'm trying to be humble here, but you're not giving me the opportunity. Now I have to foist myself on you. Now I have to talk myself up and make myself big so then I can make myself small again.
You know who did that? Who did not do that? Was
Who?
Jeff Brain.
Oh yeah, I love Jeff.
He was the founder of Cloud Hub, and he used to be streaming over there. He's since passed away and gone on to be with Jesus.
Millionaire, yeah.
And he was a pretty big deal. But when you talked to him,
normal,
you didn't get that impression at all. He hid it. He didn't want people to know. He just looked like a computer nerd.
Let me tell you something about being around Christians. And we talked about this. You know you've been around a Christian when you leave that person and maybe you don't remember that person. All you remember is that you feel better about yourself. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't remember what that person looked like. Maybe you don't remember the words that they said. But all you remember is I felt love around that person.
Come on.
The problem with Dolly Parton is that is literally never going to happen with anybody because of her clothing. Now, listen, if Dolly Parton showed up without a ton of makeup on, without the fake hair,
big old sweatshirt,
without and just kind of in a sweatshirt and just kind of like, hey, we're gonna, feed the hungry today. That
I actually
what I mean?
would be totally fine with her with the hair and the makeup. Just let's do the sweatshirt.
Yeah, exactly. But she couldn't like not even just not do, she couldn't just like not do a sweatshirt. She, everywhere she went, and I know the feeling, I know where you want to feel your best, but there was a neurosis. She was not sound-minded. She was sick in the head to where wherever she went, when she's out on stage, she's wearing skin-colored arm things. You can't see anything about her that resembles her, that is actually her. That is her hand, her arm, her face. It's not her. She's literally a robot.
Somebody has to tell me. You can Google this and we are moving on.
Sorry.
How did she play guitar with those fingernails? Because legit, I have pretty long fingernails naturally. A bunch of mine broke off recently, so I've been able to play the guitar a little bit. But I don't play guitar when my nails are long. And she had those long nails and she's like, I just do play them. I'm like, no, you don't. You lying.
Let me just read my thing. I'll be done. Dolly Parton built an empire built on those surgically enhanced, the nips, the tucks, the fillers, and that deliberately over the top, low cut, look at me style. She admitted it for decades, openly. She said she does whatever it takes so the mirror shows Dolly. The mirror shows Dolly.
Oh.
Compared herself to a show dog that needs constant maintenance and joked that it costs a lot of money, millions, to look that cheap. That wasn't some quiet personal choice. That was the brand. The big hair, the exaggerated figure, the flashy revealing outfits weren't accidents. They were tools to grab a hold of attention in a business that sells sex appeal, along with the songs. Scripture doesn't dance around this. Your body is not your personal marketing project. You are not your own. You are bought with a price. So glorify God with your body. When the main reason for the implants and the constant work is to keep the sexualized image alive and the spotlight locked on you, that's not stewardship. That's vanity dressed up as self-care. 1 Peter 3 and 2 Timothy 2 both slam the idea of women prioritizing elaborate outward adornment over the quiet inner beauty that actually matters to God. Revealing clothes that draw eyes to the body, to a specific part of the body for entertainment value. Her chest was entertainment value and jokes for millions. Okay. At square in the middle of this warning. Yes, she talked about Jesus. She recorded gospel songs and she gave money away and she did real good with her imagination library. I'm sure she did. I don't know. None of that cancels the public choices. You can sing about the Lord on Sunday and spend the rest of the week selling a carefully crafted, artificial, attention-seeking version of yourself.
Oh, man.
That's the tension a lot of Christians are feeling, and pretending it isn't there isn't helping anyone. Her family says she's with Jesus. He has the final judgment. But Dolly Parton put a lot of weight on the temporary, the outward, and the attention that her outward appearance bought. That is not a small thing when the Bible keeps telling us the opposite direction.
Sherry says she was consistent with the false humility. Our family saw it when we went to Dollywood. Yes, it was family fun. However, there was one way out of that place. We were all funneled through the Dolly store, and kids all the way through that huge merchandising tunnel were begging their parents to buy everything that their little eyes desired.
And then my question is, are there life-size dollies everywhere? And I'm going to tell you something. I do not want my children looking at a woman with tight clothes with fake chest who's making her brand on the size of her chest.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids looking at that. That is not family friendly. And I'll tell you what, I'll take it a step further. It's satanic.
It is, yeah.
Because that is exactly how the devil comes in as an angel of light. And I tried to find her last music video, one of them that she did, where she was like dressed up as some sort of
We played it on the show.
vixen. It was satanic. The song lyrics were about the devil. It was weird.
It was really weird.
If you guys have it, send it to me because I can't find it. But like it was truly satanic. And she was like 78 years old, still dressing like a hooker. What are hookers? They're trying to hook you in for the sexuality so that they can get your money from you. And I will tell you what, all of the good she did, and I don't care if Pornhub girls are giving away money to people. I don't care if Pornhub girls are preaching Jesus or the gospel or whatever. I cannot believe Christians out there with Pornhub Dolly. That's what she is. You don't have to be completely sexually explicit to be. Porn is any sort of art or entertainment or that is designed for erotica. Mm-hmm. And you are not going to tell me that giant basketball chest implants that with her chest hanging out is not pornography. Yeah. She is a living, walking Playboy girl. She is a living, walking billboard of sexuality and lust and perversion. I don't think she went to heaven. Done. Bible's pretty clear.
There you have it, folks.
Bible's pretty clear. You can walk like a duck. You can quack like a duck. You ain't no duck.
Could we explain the anger, vitriol, and bitterness behind everything that you're saying? I would like to. I think that you guys have to understand where Leah
I've
and
had a beef with Dolly my entire life.
I think it's more than that. Leah and I come from a sphere where these quote unquote influencers, Christian influencers, are out there making millions, lying to everybody like they have some sort of authority, and they're going out there telling everybody that you can sexualize your brand for your entire career
Look at Laura
and still
Logan.
make it to heaven. Laura Logan is not she cannot be a Christian. There's no way. Like,
You
that's,
gotta wear a full shirt, girl. A
you
full
know,
shirt.
So why is it important to address this? It goes back to what I was saying. When people that are in sin force themselves on you and society and say, you will say that I am good.
Yeah.
You will say that I am holy. You will say that I am pure. You will say that I am righteous. And we're not going to go along with the
I'm not gonna
devil's
play your
games.
game.
We're not going to play the games. We're going to call it like it is, balls and strikes all day long. So now, on that happy note, we had told you guys that we were going to do a
Catherine
show tonight
Crick.
on Catherine Crick. That has changed. We are now going to address, for a wide range of reasons, modern schooling and what it does to kids. It's like funneling them through factory farms.
Yeah.
Schools just started
It
for
did.
pretty much everyone everywhere.
It's the perfect time for this.
So I have to be honest, for me, and I haven't been on my own Facebook timeline in a really
I
long
haven't
time.
seen. I've only.
But I normally
back
am
to school
seeing a
stuff.
ton of back to school posts. And usually when I see them, I just stop looking at Facebook for a couple of weeks because it hurts my heart, because I know what it is doing to your child for them to be the kidness of the kid, right? And we're going to get into that phrase in a second. The essence of who they are and who they are designed to be by God is slowly stripped away. Their humanity is stripped away. Their dignity is stripped away. Their rights are stripped away. Their rights to being raised in a godly environment with truth are stripped away. Now, that is exclusive. Well, I should say it's actually not exclusive, but I'm specifically speaking about public schools. Now, we can talk on the periphery about private schools. Okay. And it depends on what kind of private school that it is, what kind of schooling they actually do.
I think we're talking about the actual schooling, like the method.
right.
So
So
whatever method you're using, if a private school is using the method, and we're going to talk about the method, the John Dewey Horseman factory farm method,
mhm.
you know, so I'll read my description for you guys. The title is Embracing the Kidness of the Kid, Why Modern Schools Are Factory Farms for Children. Now, a book that I highly recommend, and Shannon Trier, if you are in the chat, she actually gave me a pre-ordered book years ago of Joel Salatin's book called The Pigness of the Pig. And in it, it was like his first Christian-y type book where he embraced the God-given aspects, talents, gifts, needs of every single farm animal. And then he goes on to even talk about children. And embracing the pigness of the pig. So pigs, and I have a couple videos of that so you can know. Michelle, you can play this kind of in the background
Okay.
with Joe.
Without the talking.
Yeah. So
Okay.
to give you an idea of where I want to go with tonight's topic is Joel Salatin took pig farming from where it had gone in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is CAFOs. They are confinement operations. Confinement operations are where you put, and I think I need to show you that first, because in order to understand what I believe public schools are doing to children, I don't know why I didn't.
When she just said that, she gave you an abbreviation. I want you guys to see the acronym CAFO, Confinement Animal Farming Operation. That's what it stands for animals that are being farmed in confinement.
So
terrible.
Yes, concentrated animal feeding operations. That's what.
Oh, I'm sorry, concentrated.
Yes.
Or confinement, whatever. Oh,
Yes.
animal feeding operations. I had it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be darned. What do I know?
So, yeah, let me see if I can find a couple so you really can't.
Can't they imagine?
John,
It's the hardest. It's the hardest to watch because it's just like you don't want to see animals suffering like that. Nobody wants to see an animal suffering. Like,
Okay.
Imagine you took a bunch of puppies and you held them in your hand like a bouquet, and they're all squished together. Those are your chickens. And they live like that every second of every day for the 6 weeks that they're alive.
We'll show
They
you.
poop and they step in their poop. They when they die, they just get squished. The other chickens just squish them down into this stuff that goes through these grates that they walk on. And I'm here to tell you that when you eat a chicken that is raised like that, which we all have, there's nobody out there that has not, you're eating stress hormones.
So this is the way animals should be raised. This is the proper way.
Transitioned from small-scale farming to concentrated animal feeding operations, otherwise known as CAFOs. What began as an effort to meet rising food demands in the United States through more efficient methods of
I just want you guys to see.
I can't. This is
The
so hard for
pigs
me.
don't leave here. They just grow, and this is where your bacon comes from. This is where your ham comes from.
animal production has resulted in these CAFOs dominating
Super
our food
stressed
supply
animals.
chains. This industry has
This is how your meat is raised.
transformed traditional
That's a dead bird.
That's a different chicken operation, but yeah.
agriculture
also
into
really
a system
terrible. They don't-
dominated by profit maximization and mass production, and has caused a shift
Well,
that
that's an egg production,
prioritizes
isn't it? That's an egg
efficiency
production.
over environmental quality and public health. It has created systemic harms that
That is an abomination.
disproportionately affect both vulnerable communities and the broader food system, imposing consequences that extend far beyond the farm itself. Also distanced consumers from how that food is. Actions of animals were raised in confined spaces, often under corporate control. These operations are designed to maximize output within limited space, reflecting a shift towards treating agriculture as an industrial system rather than what it was created to be, a food source and a livelihood. What's more important here is the shift itself.
When you see this, what does it make you feel like?
Yeah.
Agriculture moved from a decentralized system based on land and local
Well, pause
knowledge
right
to
there.
one
I just want you guys to recognize something, that when you eat food, you eat meat and you eat eggs, you automatically assume that that is the kind of life that that animal has had, because you are raised with knowing, the farmer in the dell, that chickens are all over a farm and, cows are out on grass and like all the things. And so there's not really an excuse, but you do get an
shaped by
excuse when you
industrial
don't
logic.
know, that's fine. But once you do know, so what Leah and I did is, a lot of people, when they watched Food Inc., they became vegetarians. We said, we're not going to become vegetarians, but we're going to change
These are lagoons, and they are just horrible.
the way that we consume our meat. We were already raising chickens for eggs. Then we got 2 pigs and we started raising chickens for meat. And guys, I'm here to tell you that anybody can do this. Anybody. Because even if you live in an apartment, you can raise rabbits on your balcony. Like, seriously, we all can have a hand in this.
This is a feedlot. This is a
Or
finishing feedlot.
You can get your
Do those cows look happy? They look sick.
You can get your food from farmers who ethically raise their animals. I'm not saying this. I know it probably comes out sounding really, I don't ever want to sound condescending or that I'm
This is
picking
one of
on
the
you guys. I
worst.
don't mean, I'm angry at the situation, not at you for being raised in a country where this is the norm. It's not your fault.
Do you see how these pigs are raised? It's like
It's not our
dark.
fault.
It's in a building. It stinks. They poop. They sleep in their poop. They lay in their poop.
There's just slats on the
They're
ground, so
just
it goes
slats in the
down.
ground, and then they eventually. You know what this is? It is a concentration camp. It is a
prison.
concentration camp. The same thing with the chickens. Now, this is what they do to children. Maximum production.
That's why we're showcasing this. This is not a
Okay.
show tonight about the animals.
Exactly. But I wanted you to see the theory behind what I'm talking about tonight, and go ahead and play my Salatin one on
What type of pig?
this one.
You just had
Yeah,
oh,
that one.
This one?
This one, yeah.
The pigs that the industry uses, we call them Arnold Schwarzenegger piggies. They've got a great big rear end, and they look like a square. What we want is a more torpedo phenotype. So if you see this black spotted pig, that's a perfect pig. for what we're talking about here, because he's straight. You can lay a stick from his shoulder, and his hindquarter is all straight. The red one right there is excellent as well. Sloped off a little bit in the back, sloped off in the front, and straight down the sides. They have a great gait. They walk really well. These real square, boxy Arnold Schwarzenegger piggies, they don't like to walk, you know, they actually don't perform in this kind of a setting. This is asking a little bit of the pig. You know, we need them to put on a little bit of fat. They need to have a really healthy immune system, and we need them to be able to exercise, to move, because when we get ready to take these to slaughter, we actually take them over to the road, and they actually walk the 3/4 of a mile back to the house, the corral. They gotta walk, so they gotta be, you know, really fit, ambulatory, and all that. So this is a pretty good one coming right here. You can see he's flat along the edges, and his rear doesn't stick out too far, and he's sloped off in the back, sloped off. We call that a torpedo phenotype. That's what we're looking for. Notice we've got all sorts of different colors, and people are always asking, you know, what breed of pig do I get? What we have found is there's way more difference within breeds than there is from breed to breed. Every breed has pigs with this kind of torpedo body phenotype that we like, and pigs that are like Arnold Schwarzenegger piggy that have been bred up and they're...
I can explain that. Do you want me? Do you mind?
Yeah.
So our friend Tim, he raised cattle. He called them the long-legged loony ones. Those are the cows that he was referring to. But we have noticed this significantly with our piglets. When they are born, you get the ones that have the longer legs, that are taller, and they do very well. Those are the healthier pigs. Yeah. They actually usually have less fat, more meat. Not always, but most of the time.
Longer legs.
And then, and this is across the heritage breeds is what he's really talking about. And then you have the ones that are kind of shorter, fatter, you know, more prone to getting like hip issues and just getting too fat, too big.
Yeah.
You know, kind of having that like Arnold Schwarzenegger piggy that he mentioned there. So we have noticed that significantly with our pigs. And as a matter of fact, we chose the boar that we did because we had 2 males and we could castrate one of them. We chose the long-legged one because we felt like it would do better to be able to actually mount the girls as opposed to the shorter legged one that was going to be more fat. And it's also a snout thing we've noticed a lot, like the long, narrower snout. They're not as desirable when you're selling piglets, but they indicate that they are that better breed that he's talking about.
Yeah. There. So, the concentrated animal feed operations, they were slowly built up to make food cheaper. And we're not embracing creation the way God created creation. And so when you see Joel Salatin and you see him putting animals on pasture, chickens on pasture, cows on pasture, you breathe easier. It's just a beautiful place. It's a beautiful scenery. The animals, pigs love to root. He puts his pigs in the woods. They like the woods. They like to root in the woods. And this is my description for the show. Our favorite regenerative farmer, Joel Salatin, has an amazing book that teaches us to honor the pigness of the pig, letting animals live according to their true nature instead of confining them into concrete barns under artificial light. Tonight, we ask the same thing of our kids. Modern education often looks a lot like industrial farming. Long hours of forced sitting in fluorescent lit concrete boxes. Literally concrete boxes. Standardized routines and little to no room for movement. You have to stay in your seat for 8 hours a day. And you're lucky if you get recess for a half an hour.
Yeah.
It's a prison. It's a prison. No curiosity, no play. What if we stopped treating children like production units and started embracing the kidness of the kid? Wild energy, messy exploration, outdoor learning. I'm going to talk a lot about outdoor learning. And I have something to share with you. If you are in Ohio and you have kids, for September 23rd, our friends are putting on the coolest homeschool co-op. It's just awesome. You guys are not going to want to miss it. And the freedom to grow at your own pace, their own pace. Okay. Long before the genderbread man, and Michelle, I want to could you bring this up to show people what the genderbread? So the genderbread person, do you guys remember the genderbread person? Was it's so long ago we did our show on the genderbread person.
We
and
didn't
all.
do a show. It's in our documentary.
But we did a whole show.
did?
We did shows on the genderbread person. Long before the genderbread man and Common Core, there was a deliberate plot to steal the minds and talents of children to be used for commercial purposes. America was founded on a very independent and entrepreneurial spirit. Rebellion to tyranny was literally built into our DNA. Those who came to this land in search of a better life carved out their existence through their own grit and ingenuity. Without Lowe's or Home Depot or grocery stores, they hunted, they cut down trees, and they built their own homes with their own two hands, men, women, and children. These were not your average human beings. These were epic adventurers and people with a desire to live free or die trying. Contrast that to modern, comfortable Americans who can call an Uber instead of walk 20 miles to the nearest trading post. With the vast open prairie and access to plentiful grass, Americans liked their food as they were, free range, either hunting or raising cattle or sheep, as nature intended. However, free men and women are harder to control and manipulate. And once a man or woman has grown up knowing what true liberty is, it's very hard to put them back in a box. No, in order to control the mass population, you have to get children. You have to get them when they're children. Modern education is not about reading, writing, and arithmetic. No, our modern school system was crafted by the likes of men like John Dewey, Horace Mann, who modeled this new system after the Prussian school system. Early American education was decentralized and community-centered and explicitly grounded in Christian principles of virtue, character, and independent moral agency. We're going to talk about that. It mixed small local schools, home education, and private tutors. Textbooks, do we have a New England primer? A New England primer dominate from the late 1600s to the 1800s, and later the McGuffey readers. I know we've got one or two of those.
I have the reader. I don't know about the primer.
1836 and onward, eventually used dozen estates, did not treat reading and history and morals as neutral skills. Everything that they taught was virtue-based. They had catechisms to reading and writing and arithmetic. They're Christian usually, or virtue or morality-based. They wove biblical content, catechism, and Christian ethics into every subject, alphabet, rhymes about sin and salvation, the Westminster Shorter Catechism, lessons on history, industry, piety, parental honor, and the fear of God. Literacy was high. By the time of the American Revolution in 1775, free white Americans, especially in New England and the Mid-Atlantic, were among the most literate populations in the world. The common summary notes roughly 70% male literacy rate across 13 colonies, higher in the North. Compared, I remember John Adams, was it John Adams, who said, you would sooner see a shooting star than a person who couldn't read in the United States. Compared with lower rates in England, often around 40 to 60% for men in that period in France. So the American school system at that time, which was not compulsory, it was individualized, liberty-based, Christian-based, produced generations of capable of self-government, entrepreneurship, and moral independence. That model was deliberately replaced in the mid to late 19th, basically 1860 onward, and the early 20th centuries by the centralized compulsory system modeled on Prussian state schooling. After Napoleon's victories, Prussia built a mass compulsory system designed to produce obedient, manageable subjects rather than free citizens. American reformers, Horace Mann, and those who actually went over there and studied the Prussian schools, hey, maybe we could get, control of everybody that way, imported key features. Very interesting. You guys, what is a one-room schoolhouse? A one-room schoolhouse is where all grades are together.
I thought you wanted something deeper than that.
No, simple. It's simple. One teacher, all grades. What we went to, which is actually what you would call socialization.
I also would call like a family, right?
Yes, but that's true socialization.
Yeah.
True socialization is when you can get along with all people of all ages.
Yeah, sure.
So we call socialization age-graded classrooms. You are with the same group of people, first grade through your senior in high school.
So much so that I remember, I left public school in 7th grade. I was a cheerleader. I was so excited that I made the team. And on my cheerleading squad, there were just 2 grades, the 7th grade and the 8th grade. And those 8th grade girls didn't want to have anything to do with us. They treated us like garbage, which they had just been us a year before. Okay. But my point is, like, they couldn't even, like, within the same, like, 2 grades. So when you run into a homeschool kid, and I'm interrupting Leah's thing, one of the things that always stands out to me is that I can almost always tell a homeschool kid because they will come up to the adults and have an adult conversation with the adults.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare to find public school educated kids that do that. It's not impossible. It happens. There are some kids that are just very, very social. And they just love being around people. And I love that. But a lot of times we find that the public school confinement feeding operation creates a child that's very introverted and feels awkward and doesn't know what to do around an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, centralized control, professional teacher training for uniformity, and the idea that the state, not the parents or the churches, should shape the child's mind and character for the needs of the industrial order. What's so amazing is that there is this underlying thing like the school knows better than me. Compulsory attendance laws spread. You didn't actually, could you imagine you didn't have to send your kid to school? Extending childhood and removing children from productive family and community life, John Dewey and the progressive education movement completed the philosophical turn. Now, I want you guys to understand something about John Dewey. He is the creator, you know him as the Dewey Decimal System. Maybe if you're if you're after 1990, maybe you don't know what the Dewey Decimal
No, they
System
still
is.
use it in every library today.
Yeah, but you can just, but who goes to a library?
Everybody goes to the library. First of all, if Leah's going to get into how evil the man is, I got to give him props. I mean, it's a brilliant system. It works. Somebody could have come up with a better system or an equal system. I don't know. They didn't. The Dewey Decimal System works.
So John Dewey was actually a secular humanist, and he was a progressive, and he launched the progressive education movement, and he turned the compulsory education into the humanist education. And that's why I'm telling you that public school education is truly horrendous. There's 2 aspects to the public education. It's not necessarily what they do teach you, it's what they don't teach you. They don't teach you about God. They don't teach you about Christian virtue. They don't teach you morals. And again, what they don't do in public school, they don't educate you hands-on to do things, right?
Did you put in there so you're talking about the compulsory system.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to condescend to anybody, and I want to assume that everybody knows what that word is, and what it means. Could we explain what it means to say compulsory
before
education
1960, system? There were laws that you had to create schools, like you had to have some of them are like the old diluter Satan law in like in the mid 1600s. That sounds like a mouthful, right? So the Puritans come over from England, and they get the Bible in English in the late 1500s. Not long. They've only had it for like 20, 30 years. They were pretty upset when they started to read what was in the Bible for themselves. And they found that the Bible didn't tell them that they had to obey the king. And that the king was a descendant. His rule went back to Adam, is what John Locke argued.
The divine right
of kings. And so when they found out, this was a big deal when King James actually commissioned a Bible, and he wanted a lot of stuff in there about himself. You know, you got to obey the king. You got to obey the king. But what he didn't know was the same translators that he had hired to translate the Bible into English, the King James Bible, were the same ones that translated the Geneva Bible. And they refused to put in anything that would lend the reader to believe that there was a divine right for King James to rule. And there was a pretty incredible debate that happened where John Locke wrote First Treatise of Government, Second Treatise of Government. The First Treatise of Government is he was dispelling the divine right of kings to where others of the day truly believed that the King of England, or any king really, traced their rule back all the way to Adam. Okay, so this is a divine right.
But it was also passed down to men in their families. They had a divine right of king over their wives, over their children.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. And he dispelled that idea. He said, once your kid's an adult, you don't have a divine right over your kid or over your wife. Okay. John Locke was amazing. He's like, you're parenting equally, by the way. So
he did. Yeah.
When the Pilgrims come over, they're the first ones to come over, 1620. And then the Puritans were those who came later. They're a little bit different than the Pilgrims. And they wanted all their children, and they knew that this new land that they were going to create, they didn't want any child to fall under a religious tyrant that would fake the Bible. So they wanted to make sure that if you had 50 families in an area, that you would hire a teacher, and in some manner, you weren't forced to use this teacher, but in some manner, your children had to read. That was it. It was called the old diluter Satan's law, meaning Satan is the diluter. And we want to make sure that Satan, i.e. the religious tyrants, can't control you by telling you that the Bible says something when it doesn't say it. So we want to make sure that you can read. And that's what America was based on. We want to make sure that you can read, so you can read the Bible being the main textbook of the United States.
Do you know how many people have been educated with the Bible alone? Like that was their
millions.
sole
Well, throughout all
source
time,
of
but
education. Well, I mean,
but
since it was put
but
into,
in the American colonies, it was the textbook. So John Dewey his philosophy was progressive humanism, where we're going to take God out of this. And so most people, their brains will go on tilt. God doesn't belong in education. God doesn't belong there, because why? You were taught that by a secular humanist education system.
Separation of church and state,
Okay?
Leah.
Dewey, the dominant intellectual force at Columbia Teachers College and later honorary president for life of the National Education Association, rejected traditional transmission of knowledge and Christian virtue in favor of experience, social adjustment, and schooling as an instrument of democratic, i.e. managed social reconstruction. He was a signer of the 1933 Humanist Manifesto, daggum commie, okay, which explicitly denied the supernatural, declared the universe self-existing, and asserted, and this was a big deal in 1933, because we're on the cusp of the Scopes monkey trial. Most people were creationists at the time. Schools were all creationists at the time. And he's like, we got to stop this. No, this was a force. This was a cultural force against the norms that our country had been founded upon.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, I highly encourage everybody to go see the Great Awakening.
Oh, it was
It's so
good.
amazing.
We don't have to go see it now. It's at home.
Rent it,
Streaming at home.
Asserted that man alone is responsible for values, meaning you just think, therefore I am good. Replacing theistic foundations with a secular humanist creed. We have our own morals and values, and we go with the wind. The result is a system that treats children less as unique souls. The secular humanist, it's just like where communism goes. Everything turns from bright and colorful and creativity and craftsmanship to look at the Soviet bloc. Everything is concrete. It's gray. It's drab. Life is sucked out of it. Okay. Replacing theistic foundations with a secular humanist creed. The result is a system that treats children less as unique souls to be formed in virtue. Children need to be formed in virtue.
That's good.
We are not created. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart. Right? Spare the rod, spoil the child, and please don't beat your children. And more as raw material to be standardized. What homeschooling does, or a Montessori education, or any sort of education that is child-based, will look at each child and say, what are you good at? And this was, I was talking to Michelle. We were discussing a new friend and his nieces and nephew, and how one nephew didn't have a good work ethic. And the other niece didn't, but one niece did have a good work ethic. And if I could tell this story, I think it's fitting. Michelle, you said that his one nephew really wanted this really expensive sweatshirt. His parents were like, no, it's expensive, man. So this awesome uncle is like, dude, I'll make you a deal. Help me strip my deck, and you're going to get that sweatshirt. And the kid was like, nah, don't need this sweatshirt. It's like, dude, I'm offering you something out of the kindness of my heart. Like, here's the thing. This particular uncle didn't need you to help strip the deck. He was trying to teach you a virtue.
Yeah.
Do you understand? He's trying to teach you a virtue, right? Hard work is a virtue. And I got to thinking about why these two particular children are just like most kids. a little bit in American kids, a little bit of title, and they don't want to do hard work. And I do not blame the kids.
Mm.
And you know what? I don't really blame the parents. They are in a system, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight. When you put a good child, a bad child gets worse and a good child turns bad in this system.
Oh, no, that's a good way of putting it. It's
Right?
unfortunate. Yeah.
And so this particular system that locks up ingenuity, locks up creativity,
It's not their fault, you
natural
see.
freedom movement. And then you are told what you're going to learn, and you have 30 other kids in your class. And then maybe you've got 5 or 6 third grade classes, and you're all learning the same exact thing every year, the exact same way.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't learn that way. Maybe you learn hands-on. I was telling my sister, I was like, I want to see a class, and I actually have some cool videos, so don't worry.
She's got a whole show. We're gonna be here till 1 a.m. with all these clips she's got up here for tonight.
See. I'm gonna give an underlying
long
thing.
intro. I like it though. Don't skip it.
What if we took school and we did something like we took 5 varieties of trees outside?
You mentioned this today.
And first of all, you can sit down and in a book show kids what leaf they're looking for.
Yeah.
Show them what bark they're looking for. And then make a list of what each tree is good for. Then we pack our lunch, we go outside, and we identify these trees. And then you know what we do? We cut down these trees. And then, I think is it locust? Locusts are really good for poles. Which ones are really good for baseball bats? Is it locust or is it sycamore?
It's not sycamore.
Okay. Well,
I don't even think it's locust. It's
maple bats.
like the Louisville Sluggers.
Maple. Well, whatever it is.
It's certainly not maple. That's
certainly not.
It's oak. It's got to be oak.
Oak. Okay. Somebody
Oak's
put in the
the
chat.
hardest wood out there.
What is a good Louisville Slugger made out of? Okay.
Got to be oak.
So different trees are good for different projects, different things. So I would have the kids sawmill the wood. And
Matt, what's the slugger made out of?
What kind of tree? It's a baseball bat.
Hickory. Dickory dock. Jeez,
the mouse went up the clock.
Oh, Chris got it. Thanks, Matt.
Ash.
Oh, is it? Okay, and
Ash.
Ash. Well, Chris guessed hickory. Dang it. Now I feel dumb.
Ash trees. All of our ash trees died.
I know.
It was it was an anti-baseball pandemic.
It's
They
a
all died in
conspiracy
Ohio. All
to
of
kill
them.
all the baseball bats.
Yeah. So here's what I would like to see. I'd like to see 5 different varieties of trees made into a baseball bat. And then the kids make the baseball bats, turn the baseball bats on a wood lathe, right? Carve their names in it. And then they go outside and they hit baseballs and they decide which tree is good for a baseball bat. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can calculate the trajectory
Love it.
of how far the baseball goes. You can do math, science, everything. And then you pull in God into it and somehow. Okay. The trees of the field will clap their hands. That is what I would call a real education.
Well-rounded education.
Right. Well-rounded. But that's not what you get. You get a book. You sit down. You got to read a book. You got to do a test, read a book, do a test, read a book.
Let me read Kimberly's comment because this goes right to that, actually. She said, public schools teach kids how to take tests. My kids' elementary school taught how to pass the Pennsylvania system of school assessment, the standardized tests, so that the school could get more funding.
That's what they do.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kim.
Okay. So back to the Humanist Manifesto, which denies the supernatural, declared the universe self-existing, and asserted that man alone is responsible for values, replacing godly foundations with a secular humanist creed. The result is a system that treats children less as unique. Okay, now I want to contrast this to my favorite teacher. He has passed away a few years ago.
John
Taylor Gatto. And we're going to play some videos of him. He is a hero. Some of the videos are older, so just bear with me.
You were talking about American hero.
He's an American hero.
Come on.
He didn't need to use cup sizes breast.
Would you not? Can you just keep your mind
New
here?
York State Teacher of the Year, 30-year classroom veteran, spent decades documenting what this system actually does. We have a book, right? We have a book of his somewhere.
Probably.
He's got the Dumbing Us Down, the Underground History of American Education, which I know is over there, the Weapons of Mass Instruction, an essay against school. He argues that compulsory schooling is not primarily about literacy or knowledge. It is a factory model. Bells, rows, fragmented time. Just like you got the bells, you got the, here's one. Oh, this is one. Here we go. Everybody should read this book, The Underground History of American Education. There's another one we got over there. Forward by Ron Paul.
Of course.
Okay, weapons of mass instruction, the essays against school. He argues that compulsory schooling is not primarily about literacy or knowledge. It is a factory model. Factory, bells, rows.
Do you have the bell clip?
I think I might. I don't know.
The John Taylor Gatto bell clip is the best. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Fragmented time. Hey, I'm really, really doing good on this. I don't want to have to leave. Bell, put it down, shut your mind
Stop.
down, right? How many of you have ever been, I will tell you, this is my thoughts. I'm going to give you a punchline. I'm going to give you a punchline right here, right now.
Oh gosh.
I was homeschooled for on and off. We were public schooled. I was mostly public schooled. I could not imagine being public schooled again after I was homeschooled the second
I have
time.
nightmares.
But the time wasted. I got done an entire day's worth in 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then as a high schooler, I could do whatever I want. And Michelle and I, with me helping Michelle a little bit with algebra, our mom did not homeschool us.
No.
If
no.
you can read,
Yeah, we schooled ourselves.
you do not need a teacher.
No,
Okay.
No.
Now, I would say this. You know why we didn't need a teacher? Because all we were doing was reading in a book. But if we were outside in nature, if we were doing things hands-on, we would have needed a teacher. Okay. I needed a teacher to teach me how to drain, change the oil or change a tire. Like I need to see that.
Yeah.
Anything you need to see done, you need a teacher. Okay. Without YouTube, without videos. However, I will say that even when I was homeschooled, it was still book work. Okay. Mostly just book work. My real education in life started after I stopped being homeschooled because even the homeschool model is wrong.
I want to insert something here though.
Our homeschool model that we did. I'm sure other people are doing it right.
When you are, when you need to learn like a thing, that's when you need somebody to teach you. You don't need somebody to teach you the book work. But once you know how to read, once you know how to do, math, if you can read, you can actually teach yourself math through math books that have instructions. I taught myself in geometry. I love geometry. Like, it's the only math I like. So my point is, so what I learned that I needed a teacher for was electrical, installing windows, woodworking. So I had phenomenal instructors, teachers.
So I came up with this. I know this is really great.
Was I cutting you off? You gave me that look.
No, I didn't give you a look.
Yes, you did.
I just jumped in on you. You are here right now. You know why you're here? Because you are continuing to learn because you want to learn this. Okay. When you are interested in something is when the great learning happens. Okay. Kids are naturally inquisitive. Have a child around you for 5 minutes and you will get 20 questions. You know what you do? Put a lesson around that. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Kids don't know it. They don't recognize that it's school. It doesn't need to be school because kids are already naturally inquisitive. They want to learn. Teach me how to tie my shoe. Many of them want to learn an instrument. Many of them want to learn a language. Benjamin Franklin's father was so amazing. He would allow Ben to sit in on his manly meetings with the local town meetings.
Right.
And then he would take Benjamin around to the cobbler, to the mason, to the, they might be the same thing, to the bread maker, to the shoemaker. And he would take them around to all these different people until he found something that he enjoyed. And then at like 12 years old, he's working for his brother at a print shop. And then at 13 or 14, this guy is starting his own newspaper. Okay. Entrepreneurial. He was amazing because he found something that he was good at, that he loved, and his dad allowed him to flourish. Okay. Children, what's your goal with kids?
That's a good question.
What's your goal? Is your goal for you to stuff in as many of the standardized information that you think that, do I need to know about Great Serpent Mound in Ohio? We had Ohio history for an entire 8th grade class. I don't need to know it. I don't remember it. I don't care. I don't even remember who was here.
And it probably wasn't even accurate
It was
information.
a waste of stinking time. Okay. But if you take me around Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
take me to Hocking Hills, teach me about Old Man's Cave, teach me about Ash Cave, teach me about the Native Americans who were there, I'm going to learn a lot. And I'm going to learn to love Ohio. And take me to Kentucky and do the same thing. Right? But don't make me sit there and, memorize the dates of Simon Kenton and,
Well, so think about this. And for our world viewers, and I think we only have Barry here tonight, but because it's so late over there, but for people that watch this back, I don't know about you guys, but for Americans, our American history, very short period of time, is repeated every single year from kindergarten through 8th grade. Every single
Did
year,
you know that?
you
They
get
just
the
add a little bit
same
more?
stories. Where's the world? Like, we don't get world history. You want to know why Americans are so like tunnel vision and we don't know anything about the rest of the world? Because they don't teach very much of it. Like, you get it in high school, but like, why not start as a child? What's that?
So
The Discoverers. That's such a good book.
you want to give kids a bedtime story?
No, it's good.
You want them to grab a book off the shelf
Come on.
and have you read it to them, and then you
Yeah.
learn it. This right here, you can do like maybe 3 years of curriculum from here, but you could just read it. The Discoverers are about all the cool things and how they were all created in the sky. No, sorry, not in the sky. Just all different things. Like this one is in 1597, Galileo himself was actually supporting the Potomac system in a series of lectures, blah, 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 blah. Then we talk about Galileo. We talk about Inside Ourselves. We talk about, I don't know, the Gutenberg Press, the pyramids. It's amazing. We went around the world. We actually read this entire book as a family out loud. I love this book. So, there's so many things. If your kids don't want to learn, you're on the wrong subject. They want to learn something. Okay. Or you're not doing it right. They need to go outside. They need to do something. All right. So, in short, we moved from an education that aimed to form free, virtuous persons under a Christian moral order to one that by design manages and standardizes them under a secular industrial managerial order. The concrete buildings, the forced sitting, the artificial light, and the regimentation are not accidental. It is designed to make you go mad. They are the physical expression of that shift, just as industrial agriculture denies the pigness of the pig, factory schooling denies the kidness of the kid. So I want to go over to, let's just play some John Taylor Gatto.
He's the greatest. You guys are going to love him. You're like, where has this dude been my whole life?
Let's play him on the Prussian system here. I know this is old school video.
No, it's good. Is this it?
Over.
One more? This is
Well,
it?
you can play that one first.
sure?
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I can do whichever.
Yeah, go ahead. He talks so slow. Okay, you go read that. Read it. Go back.
Sorry. I was trying to do the things you wanted me to do.
Okay.
I don't even know how to say that.
Teutonic Knights.
A military and religious order of German knights, priests, and lay brothers originally enrolled circa 1191 as the Teutonic Knights of St. Mary of Jerusalem. They became a great sovereign power through conquests and campaigns against Germany's non-Christian neighbors such as Prussia.
Prussia was a curious...
What and where? Livonia?
Never heard of it.
From 1225, abolished by Napoleon in 1809, the order was reestablished in Vienna as an honorary ecclesiastical institution 1834 and maintains a
So this is about the
titular
Prussian connection
existence.
to school.
Prussia was a curious place. Not an ordinary country unless you consider ordinary, a land which by 1776 required women to register each onset of their monthly menses with the police.
This is from John Taylor Gatto's book.
Foundations of modern schooling. The Prussian connection.
North America had been interested in Prussian development since long before the American Revolution, its social controls being a favorite subject of discussion among Ben Franklin's exclusive private discussion group, the Junto. When the phony Prussian Baron von Steuben directed bayonet drills for the colonial army, interest rose even higher. Prussia was a place to watch, an experimental state totally synthetic like our own, having been assembled out of lands conquered in the last crusade. For a full century, Prussia acted as our mirror, showing elite America what we might become with discipline. Horace Mann's own political party, the Boston Whigs, charged that proposals to erect German-style teacher seminaries in this country were a thinly disguised attack on local and popular autonomy. The critic, Orestes Brownson, allowed that state regulation of teaching licenses was a necessary preliminary only if school were intended to serve as a psychological control mechanism for the state and as a screen for a controlled economy. If that was the game truly afoot, said Brownson, it should be reckoned an act of treason. Where the whole
If that was the game, if you need to license teachers, you need to license them because you're trying to control people.
Yeah.
And that's an act of treason.
No, pause right there. Just hang on. I don't know that not everybody caught it, even though you repeated it. There's no reason to you don't have to license the teacher. What they're doing is we're going to let certain people in and we're to teach, but we're not the approved, right, methodology, but we will not let people that are going to teach the unapproved methodology
Teacher
in.
seminaries in this country were thinly disguised an attack on local autonomy.
And popular autonomy. The critic, Orestes Brownson, allowed that state regulation of teaching licenses was a necessary preliminary only if school were intended to serve as a psychological control mechanism for the state and as a screen for a controlled economy. If that was the game truly afoot, said Brownson, it should be reckoned an act of treason.
You need to understand something. Your children are funneled into school and into careers to control the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Where the whole tendency of education is to create obedience, Brownson said, all teachers must be pliant tools of government. Such a system of education is not inconsistent with the theory of Prussian society, but the thing is wholly inadmissible here. He further argued that according to our theory, the people are wiser than the government. Here, the people don't look to the government for light, but the government looks to the people.
Oh, could you
He
imagine?
concluded that to entrust government with the power of determining education which our children shall receive is entrusting the servant with the power of the master.
on.
The fundamental difference between the United States and Prussia has been overlooked by the Board of Education and its supporters. This same notion of German influence on American institutions occurred recently to a historian from Georgetown, Dr. Carroll Quigley. Quigley's analysis of elements in German character, which were exported to us, occurs in his book, Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time. Quigley traced what he called the German thirst for the coziness of a totalitarian way of life to the breakup of German tribes in the Great Migrations 1,500 years ago. When pagan Germany finally transferred its loyalty to the even better totalitarian system of Diocletian in post-Constantine Rome, that system was soon shattered too, a second tragic loss for the security of the Germans. According to Quigley, they refused to accept this loss, and for the next 1,000 years, Germans made every effort to reconstruct the universal system, from Charlemagne's Holy Roman Empire right up to the aftermath of Jena in 1806. During that 1,000-year interval, other nations of the West developed individual liberty as the ultimate center of society in its principal philosophical reality. But while Germany was dragged along in the same process, it was never convinced that individual sovereignty was the right way to organize society. Germans, said Quigley, wanted the freedom from the need to make decisions, the negative freedom that comes from a universal totalitarian structure, which gives security and meaning to life. The German is most at home in military, ecclesiastical, or educational organizations, ill at ease with equality, democracy, individualism, or freedom. And this was the spirit that gave the West forced schooling in the early 19th century. So, spare a little patience while I tell you about Prussia and Prussianized Germany, whose original mission was expressly religious, but in time became something else. During the 13th century, the Order of Teutonic Knights set about creating a new state of their own. After 50 turbulent years of combat, the order successfully Christianized Prussia by the efficient method of exterminating the entire native population and replacing it with Germans. By 1281, the order's hold on lands once owned by the heathen Slavs was secure. Then, something of vital importance to the future occurred. The system of administration selected to be set up over these territories was not one patterned on the customary European model of dispersed authority, but instead was built on the logic of Saracen, centralized administration, an Asiatic form first described by Crusaders returned from the Holy Land. For an example of these modes of administration in conflict, we have the Herodotus account of the Persian attempt to force the pass at Thermopylae. 1940 onwards, it was feared throughout Europe for its large, well-equipped, and deadly standing army. The mature Prussian state structure was almost complete. During the reigns of Frederick I and his son Frederick II, Frederick the Great, the modern absolute state was fashioned there by means of immense sacrifices imposed on the citizenry to sustain permanent mobilization. The historian Thomas Macaulay wrote of Prussia during these years, "The king carried on warfare as no European power ever had. He governed his own kingdom as he would a besieged town, not caring to what extent private property was destroyed or civil life suspended. The coin was debased, civil functionaries unpaid, but as long as means for destroying life remained, Frederick was determined to fight to the last." German writer and statesman Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said, "Frederick saw Prussia as a concept, the root cause of a process of abstraction consisting of norms, attitudes, and characteristics which acquired a life of their own. It was a unique process, supra-individual, an attitude depersonalized, motivated only by the individual's duty to the state." Now today, it's easy for us to recognize Frederick as a systems theorist of genius, one with a real country to practice upon. Under Frederick William II, Frederick the Great's nephew and successor, from the end of the 18th century on into the 19th, Prussian citizens were deprived of all rights and privileges. Every existence was comprehensively subordinated to the purposes of the state, and in exchange, the state agreed to act as a good father, giving food, work and wages suited to the people's capacity, welfare for the poor and elderly, and of course, universal schooling for children. The early 19th century saw Prussian state socialism arrive full-blown as the most dynamic force in world affairs, a powerful
So we're going to go to part 3 on that because it's like the same.
affairs was opened. Half of 1% of the students attended Akademienschulen, where, as future policymakers, they learned to think strategically. And
So this is what is incredibly interesting. Some of the children in Prussia were sent to a different kind of school where they learned to think strategically. They learned to think independently. They learned to think in a way where they're going to be in control.
But it would still benefit the construct, but you have to raise rulers and you have to raise the subjects.
Yeah, and people who can think on their own.
Exactly.
contextually, they learned complex processes and useful knowledge. They studied history, wrote copiously, argued often, read deeply, and mastered tasks of command. The next level, Realschulen, was intended mostly as a manufactory for the professional proletariat of engineers, architects, doctors, lawyers, career civil servants, and such other assistants as policy thinkers at times would require. From 5 to 7.5% of all students attended these real schools, learning in a superficial fashion how to think in context, but mostly learning how to manage materials, men, and situations, how to be problem solvers. This group would also staff the various policing functions of the state, bringing order to the domain. Finally, at the bottom of the pile, a group between 92 and 94% of the population attended people's schools, where they learned obedience, cooperation, and correct attitudes, along with rudiments of literacy and official state myths of history. This universal system of compulsion schooling was up and running by 1819, and soon became the 8th wonder of the world, promising for a brief time, in spite of its exclusionary layered structure, liberal education for all. But this early dream was soon abandoned. This particular utopia had a different target than human equality. It aimed instead for frictionless efficiency.
I'm Army National Guard. So I serve 2 purposes instead of 1. I go to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iraq. I stay home, and we have an earthquake or something, or like 9/11 goes down, guess what? They grab all of us, and they pull us over there, and we start with the rescue people. And riots break out, the cops can't handle it, they call us. We go in and help people us out.
Satisfaction offered too many windows into better lives, too much familiarity with better ways of thinking. It was a gift unwise to share with those permanent
Back up just a little bit.
reading. Reading produced dissatisfaction and offered
There is a reason why inner city kids can't read.
too many windows into better lives, too much familiarity with better ways of thinking. It was a gift unwise to share with those permanently consigned to low station. Heinrich Pestalozzi, an odd Swiss-German school reformer, was producing at this time a non-literary, experience-based pedagogy, strong in music and industrial arts, which was attracting much favorable attention in Prussia. Here seemed a way to keep the poor happy without arousing in them.
Oh, oh, so maybe we can just keep them jazzed up on fast food and hip hop. And you don't need to read.
Hopes of dramatically changing the social order. Pestalozzi claimed the ability to mold the poor to
We literally just played a video of an inner city teacher who taught black kids and brown kids who was crying that he was trying to teach seniors that could not put a 4-word sentence together.
Yeah.
Seniors. What does that sound like?
accept all of the efforts
That is a feature, not a bug.
Mhm.
That's not a failure. That's the purpose
Yeah.
of the system at work. The system worked.
Yeah.
peculiar to their class. He offered them love in place of ambition.
Wow.
By employing psychological means in the training of the young, class warfare might be avoided. Information about this Prussian schooling was brought to America by a series of travelers' reports published in the early 19th century. First was the report of John Griscombe, whose book, A Year in Europe, highly praised the new Prussian schools. Pestalozzi came to the center of focus at about the same time through the letters of William Woodbridge to the American Journal of Education, letters which examined this strange man and his humane methods through friendly eyes. Another important chapter in this school buildup came from Henry Dwight, whose travels in North Germany praised the new quasi-religious teacher seminaries in Prussia, where prospective teachers were screened for correct attitudes toward the state. The most
Prospective teachers were screened for the correct attitude toward the state.
influential, however, was the report of French philosopher Victor Cousin to the French government in 1831. This account by Cousin, France's Minister of Education, explained the administrative organization of Prussian education in depth, dwelling at length on the system of people's schools and its far-reaching implications for the economy and social order. Cousin's essay applauded Prussia for discovering ways to contain the danger of a frightening new social phenomenon, the industrial proletariat. So convincing was his presentation that within 2 years of its publication, French national schooling was drastically reorganized to meet Prussian Volksschule standards. French children
If you start to want too many things
Okay.
and a better life, you can be dangerous.
Yeah.
could be stupefied just as easily as German ones.
Yeah.
On Cousin's heels
They make
came
them
yet
dumb.
another influential report praising Prussian discipline and Prussian results, this time by the bearer of a prominent American name, the famous Calvin Stowe, whose wife Harriet Beecher Stowe, the conscience of the abolition movement, was author of its sacred text, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Calvin Stowe's report to the Ohio legislature attesting to Prussian superiority was widely distributed across the country, the Ohio group mailing out tens of thousands of copies in the legislatures of Massachusetts, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Virginia, each reprinting and distributing the document. The third major testimonial to Prussian schooling came in the form of Horace Mann's seventh report to the Boston School Committee in 1843. Mann's sixth report had been a paean to phrenology, the science of reading head bumps, which Mann argued was the only proper basis for curriculum design. The seventh report ranked Prussia first of all nations in schooling, England last. Pestalozzi's psychologically grounded form of pedagogy was specifically singled out for praise in each of the three influential reports ever cited, as was the resolutely non-intellectual subject matter of
So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go to John Taylor Gatto. He can talk about his Prussian
Chapter
system a
7
little bit better.
tracks the
That is somebody else reading this guy's book, what we were just listening to.
kind of schooling that you and I are familiar with, right back to its original production center, which was the militaristic state of Prussia in northern Germany. And from Prussia, delegations from all over the world, east and west, came to see the Prussian miracle, where a small, poor country could produce profitable factories, and in particular, a very well-disciplined and formidable army, simply by passing its young citizenry through forced schooling. And from Prussia, Horace Mann returned to the United States, and Japanese investigators returned to Japan, and they installed the Prussian system where it would do the most good from the managerial point of view. In 1935, at the University of Chicago's experimental school, this is the epigraph for Chapter 7, The Prussian Connection. In 1935, at the University of Chicago's experimental school, where John Dewey had once held sway and made his reputation, the head of the social science department published an inspirational textbook called The Life and Work of the Citizen. In its pre-publication edition, and this is the one I'm talking about, if you get the publication edition, what I'm going to tell you about will have been muted. The title page clearly shows 4 interlocked hands interconnected to form a swastika. And the markings throughout the book for the chapter divisions and also for inter-chapter divisions are done with the fascist emblem, the bundle of sticks held by an eagle. By 1935, the Prussian pattern and Prussian goals had embedded themselves so deeply into the vitals of American institutional schooling that hardly a soul noticed that the traditional purposes of this pedagogical enterprise were being abandoned. If you remember from another part in this film, the traditional purposes were to develop good people, good citizens, and to make each individual his or her personal best. Those were replaced by a fourth purpose that comes to us directly from Prussia, and that is that school would be an assistant to the economy and to the government.
School would be an assistant to the economy and to the government. Okay, yeah, you can do your thing. Yeah, you can be whatever you want to be. Now, he went back, and I know that was, he spoke kind of like quickly over the swastika, but when we're talking about the Prussian system, we're literally talking about the pre-Nazism system. Like, it is the system that created Nazi Germany that we imported to America. The educational system that created Nazi Germany. Our school system is a Nazi system, okay?
And therefore, school children should be looked upon as human resources, not as individual spirits. I'm sure
They and we all have these, we all work at companies. We don't, thank you, Jesus, but most companies have a human resource division.
Well, and they teach you how to be a team player. Now, there's actually nothing wrong with being a team player.
No, I didn't say anything about being a team player. I'm saying when a company sees you as a human resource.
I thought you were going to say kind of like they become more like the hive mind, right? We all work together for the same goal, which in a company,
yes.
I mean, that's
when a
actually
company is looking
helpful.
at your resume, are they seeing who you are? Are they seeing your family?
Yeah.
I know a woman who just didn't get hired because the Boys and Girls Club in Cincinnati said they couldn't hire her because she had kids. And the last person with kids didn't work out. If you're going to work for a company, I would hope and pray that that organization sees you as a human being and not as a resource.
Well, our best friend has a phenomenal company that she works for. It's not a company; it's a business. It's a steel company, but it's very, very small.
Yes, and every single person is seen as a valuable human
with
being,
family, and like
he's Mr. Fuzzyworth. You know, the guy from Christmas Carol.
I don't know. Now I can't
that to
say
no
The
one
bosses,
watching
good
this
guy.
will the term human
Fezziwig.
resources
Fezziwig.
not be familiar.
Something about
That was
fuzzy.
the Prussian outlook on people. Chapter 8 nails the origination of forced schooling in the fashion that we have it to coal mines and the coal mining powers.
Wow.
A dramatic shift to mass production and mass schooling occurred in the very same moment in history, and they are definitely intimately related with one another. Mass production actually isn't really possible, certainly not the way we conceive of it, without an endless source of energy, which absolutely prior to coal was not available anywhere in the world. Winds come and go, water ebbs and flows, but coal power can go on at a steady rate around the clock. Suddenly mass production truly became possible, but to have people effectively work at mass production, and even more importantly, consume the usually somewhat inferior standardized products of mass production, you have to have a different kind of human being than threw the British out of the United States and were working for independent livelihoods in this country.
You know what I just got out of that? And I don't know if we're going to get through any of Leah's tabs if we keep interrupting this amazing man, but think about you're on an assembly line and your job is, you know, right? You do this all day long, right? What that does is what he was saying is inferior products due to mass production. What that tells me is that, like, let's say I'm a boss and I have 5 employees. I want them to come to me if they have a better way of doing it. If they have
Sure.
a better way of producing the product.
Yeah.
There's a room for that when all you do is all day long, put on one part.
Now, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with streamlining things. It's when you're using people
As a
then now
machine.
as a machine, because here's the thing.
But I don't want your mind.
If
I just
you
need you to
need
physically
somebody
do a
to
thing.
just put one piece on, maybe you don't need that object.
I know.
Maybe you don't need it.
All right, let's keep going. Sorry.
This chapter 8, is called A Coal-Fired Dream World. A dramatic shift to mass production and mass schooling occurred in the same heady rush. Mass production could not be rationalized unless the public accepted massification. In a democratic republic, school was the only reliable long-range instrument available to accomplish this. Older American forms of schooling would not have been equal to the responsibility which coal, steam, steel, and machinery laid upon the national leadership. Coal demanded the schools we have, and of course oil, which displaced coal in the center of our affections also. And so we got these schools as an ultimate act of economic rationality. Chapter 9 deals with the kind of mentality which evolved in order to make efficient the heavy use of machine interventions in human life. It goes by the seemingly harmless expression scientific management. And between 1890 and 1920, it was as close to being a national religion as anything you could imagine. Time and motion studies, which we have with us today.
So in the Industrial Revolution was only made possible by a generation of kids that it wasn't what they were taught. It was what they weren't taught as far as academics. Is how they were taught. They were taught, you know what? Life kind of stinks. I'm supposed to obey the man. I have to follow the rules. I have to do things that hurt, do things that don't make sense. Right? And so when you're in that system, that's that's when you're a slave to the system. Mark Twain, I have never let schooling interfere with my education. This is one more on the Prussian side of it. I'm going to
and to train young men for the military and bureaucracy. Slade and Rousseau's idea.
Hang on.
Influencing this new system from the beginning was Prussian philosopher Johann Gottlieb Fichte. Combining John Locke's view that the children are a blank slate and Rousseau's ideas on how to write on that slate, Prussia established an educational system that was considered scientific in nature. An important part of the Prussian system was that it defined for the child what was to be learned, what was to be thought about, and how long to think about it.
What should you think about, and how long should you think about it? Well, we're going to do math. We're going to do this math for 45 minutes. That is not the childness or the kidness of the kid.
Yeah.
In order to have an efficient policymaking class,
A good parent in a good homeschooling or Montessori school will ask a child, what do you learn? What do you want to learn? And then will help facilitate a way to make sure that that learning happens in such a way that the child is growing.
and a subclass beneath it, it was believed that one had to remove the power of most people to make sense out of the available information.
They had to remove the power of the most people to make sense out of the situation, which is why I can tell, guys, I can tell those of you who have been really, really, really brainwashed by this system, you're still Trump supporters. For real.
Oh, Leah, now you hurt people.
Truth, facts over feelings. No. You want to say it better? You want to wake people up? I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but say it in a way that you think somebody will understand it, but not hurt their feelings. Because we talk about Trump all the time, but it's not getting to people's minds. We said it the other day. We said it today. The people that support Trump now today cannot think for themselves. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know why? You're missing pieces of the puzzle, just like we talked about on our show. Maybe you missed it. We talked about the ranchers and the cattlemen who were Trump supporters, diehard Trump supporters. There's this rancher in Oklahoma, and he would tell his dad, Trump's doing this and it's not right. And he was like, die hard until this bringing in foreign beef thing. He's like, I'm giving up on him. Like he's not for us. He's not for us. And I could list all these things. He's pro-choice. He's pro-abortion. He's sending his kids all around the world to make billion-dollar deals with radical Islamists, and it's like he was against foreign intervention. Now he's doing foreign war. So what I'm saying is that the American education system and the Prussian system makes it so that you cannot think for yourself.
So
I'm asking,
I would like to insert something to that. I don't disagree with you. I would not have chosen Trump supporters as my
I want to
people.
help you.
I want to retain you as a viewer and not offend you. The
Well-
last few that we have left, we don't make fun
Isn't
of them
this
or
funny?
tell them,
And I'm not making
call them
fun of
bad
anybody,
names or
but
tell
this
them
is
they're
funny
dumb.
because the run up to the 2024 election for months and months and months and months and months, I would be like, Michelle, stop. I'm trying to keep the Trump supporter watching my show because I love them. I love you.
I would actually call out, and this is true, but I can understand why Leah feels like this wouldn't hit you because you already feel like this doesn't apply to you, is the people that wore the masks, the people that took the jab.
Yeah, but that's
those-
easy. We all know that part. We all know that they went along with it.
But I guess I feel like the people that are still supporting Trump, it's not solely because of the compulsory, Prussian school system or whatever. It's just people that kind of created an idol, are holding on to hope. They don't want to let go of that hope.
Okay,
So there's
I can
more
see that.
to it than just this, but this is a contributing factor.
Okay. Don't be offended. Please still watch the show.
In other words, critical thinking had to be done away with. Now, if you're wondering why the average person doesn't know that the North American education system is based directly on the Prussian model, it might just be because its original purpose was not designed for the good of the individual, but for the good of the government. The philosophy of Johann Fichte directly influenced the creation of the Prussian model of schooling, as he is quoted saying, "The schools must fashion the person, and fashion him in such a way that he simply cannot will otherwise than what you wish him to will." With quotes like these, you can see why his involvement is not well known. Education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils are thus schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. When this technique has been perfected, every government that has been in charge of education for more than one generation will be able to control its subjects securely without the need of armies or policemen.
That's terrifying. And true.
In 1807, in a Berlin occupied by Napoleon, Johann Fichte gave a series of famous addresses to the German nation. Fichte spoke of the superiority of German people above all others. The content of these speeches was a catalyst for the Prussian education system and German nationalism. In other early works, he calls Jews a state within a state that would, quote, undermine the German nation. He openly expressed a desire to expel Jews from Germany. Fichte had a deep influence on the rise of the Third Reich, and continues to be deemed, quote, the spiritual father of modern neo-Nazism. Which begs the question, why would the father of American education make it a law that every child spend their youth in a system created by the father of neo-Nazism? Historians reflect that one of the greatest social factors that allowed a man like Hitler to rise to power was that the German people had been bred from birth to respect authority above all else.
So there is that. And I think that what happens is that once you've learned and you identify just the left as the bad guy, I know some people have said, Leah, would you rather have Kamala Harris? No, I
get
don't
that
want
all the time.
any liars, cheaters, scammers, or snakes.
Well, and see, I will say this though. Those that say that, to me, I would put that specific type of a Trump supporter. It proves that you went through this system, because what you have is
We had to
it's a tunnel.
choose.
It's literally, they're coming to you and they're saying you have to choose whether you want to eat,
And
poop
if,
or vomit. And it's like, I'm not choosing either.
Guys,
but then they tell you have to choose. And then if you don't like the poop that you've swallowed, then you must have wanted vomit.
if Trump does things that are good, we praise him. We still do. Okay. Even though it's hard. But to be able to think for yourself is to be able to be, if you're going to be an umpire, you have to call balls and strikes no matter which team you like.
Yeah.
All right. So let's play this one. 6 Secret Lessons Taught in School by John Taylor Gatto. To the right.
To the right. There it is.
The first lesson I saw was the terrible confusion that's in any school as people race about at bell-marked intervals. The time-honored experience of mental development is that it occurs with strong concentration, not with fragmented attention. Class position. You will not find the doctor's son, however ignorant he is, in the class with the marginalized kids. Indifference is wonderful. This is a factory to create indifference to intellectual things, to ideas. They have to be whipped, ordered, and disciplined to do anything. Or, just as bad, they have to be offered bribes to do it. Emotional.
Part of education system that we have right now is to make you hate it.
Exactly.
So that you will go on to do things you hate.
Yeah.
Dependency, sure. Probably half of these 60 million kids who attend schools in the United States, removed from their own families at a very vulnerable age, become emotionally dependent on a pat on the head, a smile, avoiding an insult. Intellectual dependency. In spite of rhetoric to the contrary, a teacher's nightmare is invested in those kids, if any, who actually have learned how to think for themselves. The teacher's job.
A teacher's nightmare is a child that thinks for themselves. Nightmare.
Is not only to convey bits of information that should not be challenged, but also to convey how you connect those bits of information, but not practice in doing that for yourself. You memorize someone else's connection.
What is a circle? Billy Hancock. A circle is a closed curve in which all endpoints on the circumference are equally distanced from the center points. Very good.
I love that clip. You can't just say it's a round thing. You can't say what you think a circle is. You have to memorize exactly the way other people see that circle.
Additional self-esteem, this really ties into the grades, the test scores, the signs of approval by the teacher. You're allowed to feel good about yourself if an authority issues a signal that you can do that. On the other hand, if the authority condemns you, the only way you can feel good about yourself is to become an outlaw.
Like
So that's like, yeah, and that's what like the grades are about, right? So if I'm going to do a class on, you know, how to build a replica log cabin, you guys are going to finish the class. Oh, this is a good time for this. This is such a good time for this.
Pause there because I want to do a shout out to Eric Mathis, who I was literally thinking about less than 2 days ago. And he popped in the chat. Haven't seen him in ages.
Hey,
Okay,
Eric.
so say hello to Terry and the kids for us. But I want to read his comment. He says, I absolutely agree with you, Leah. Trump is definitely not for us.
Okay, so our friends in
Anymore.
And thank you, Eric, for saying that. We can have a discussion on that. So our friends in Hocking Hills in Vinton County on September 23rd, they are going to do the opposite, and we're going to talk about like what the opposite education should be. They have where education meets real life. If you scroll down, there's going to be a day of classes. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's so cool. They're going to learn. You can learn about horses, milking goats, foraging and hiking. And I think that
Applesauce making, first aid.
Okay, so look at this schedule. I wanted to go. They asked us to teach a
Owl
class.
pellet dissection.
Make and take.
What the heck?
Here's the thing, but guess what? You're gonna have you guys ever dissected an owl pellet? We did in school.
Slingshot course, farm forensics, case of the midnight coop raid. Oh, you know what that's gonna be about? What killed your chicken? You know what happens? You go out there and you find a chicken. You got to figure out. Okay, it was just decapitated.
That's probably
it
a good
wasn't.
class.
That's what I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. Nature loom making class. Learn about horses. Lead ride on mini horse session.
Applesauce over an open flame.
Pickle it from cucumber to pickles. Make and take. Bring your own mason jar. Lost on the Back 40 farm survival challenge. Come on, man. This is actually worth coming to. Like,
who left that? Farm and forest animal detective activity.
Tallow rendering class. So this is from the same
Water
people
the livestock
that brought us old school survival boot camp. Okay. It's a 1-day homeschool experience that's going to be in Vinton County, at Vinton County Fairgrounds, which is in Hocking Hills, Ohio. If you guys can make it, it's Wednesday, September 23rd. So it's coming up, but you can still register. It's a month away. Okay.
And it's for all ages.
Yes. If we could participate in this, we would be teaching classes. We just weren't able to make it.
So what I love about this is you're not having braids. You're lost on the Back 40. We're going to figure out how to get back.
Let's go.
Okay. When you're going to be canning on an open flame, does your jar actually suck down and seal? A+. You know what I mean? So, I'm really excited about this. This is the kind of education your kids need.
Yeah.
And I love this so much. So please, if you're a homeschool family, head out to, and this, it's worth a drive from wherever.
So the website is thehomesteadhomeschool.com. Thehomesteadhomeschool.com.
Wait, is that going to be up on our website or anything?
I think they can remember. and come back to this timestamp, the homesteadhomeschool.com.
Okay. So I think we did a good job on kind of the negative like change in education. But I want to go over here to David Barton, 4 Centuries of American Education, and how our American education was actually based on Christian principles at one time.
Sorry, I'm still looking for it. There it is. You want to start it from the beginning, or do you have
Yeah,
it
start at the
cut?
beginning, and I'll hit some
This
spots.
is a very young David
This is
Barton here.
very young. I'm sorry, some of these are,
It's
they're
good.
people haven't made some good ones lately, so I
No,
just
it's good.
America is now entering its 5th century of educating students. For every generation of Americans throughout the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and now the 21st centuries, a good education has been a major emphasis. It was that way when the first colonists arrived here 4 centuries ago, and that goal remains unchanged today. Yet by what standard should a good education be measured? It must be measured by more than just technological advances. It must also be measured by how much content a student has learned and how well that student has been taught to think and to reason. Unfortunately, there's abundant evidence that while the technological advances in this generation have been significant, the cognitive advances have not been nearly as great. Consider, for example, this 1862 geography test from Chicago Public Schools. Notice some of the 4th grade questions in 1862. How many degrees of longitude are there? How many degrees wide are the temperate zones? What is a watershed?
Stop.
Name the principal.
Could you
Anybody
name
know the answer to that
any
question?
of? I mean, I think most of us know what a watershed is, but the first couple here.
No.
What are the principal animals of the frigid zone?
Name the principal animals of the frigid zones. This represented basic 4th grade knowledge in 1862.
Right.
That same year, this math text, Ray's Arithmetic, was one of the most popular elementary math texts in American schools. Notice some elementary math questions from 1862. I insured 2/3 of a shop worth $3,600 and 4/5 of a house worth $6,000, paying $126. What was the rate of insurance? Or, how much money must be given with 9 $100 shares at 15% discount in exchange for 8 $100 bonds at 2% discount? And these were elementary math problems.
And we're
This math book for elementary students provides exercises that students had to solve mentally only. That is, only in their minds. No pencils, no papers allowed. Notice some of the mental math problems for elementary students in 1877. A boat worth $864, of which 1/8 belonged to A, 1/4 to B, and the rest to C, was lost. What loss did each sustain, it having been insured for $500? This was a mental math problem in elementary schools in 1877. Here's another. On a farm, there are 60 animals, horses, cows, and sheep. For each horse, there are 3 cows, and for each cow, there are 2 sheep. How many animals of each kind?
I could do that in my head.
Or try this one. If 7 men can do a piece of work in 4 days, in what time can it be done if 3 of the men leave when the work is half completed? In 1877, these were math problems that elementary students solved in their minds.
Stop it.
Or try a few basic history questions from 1882. History questions about the United States Constitution. What is a writ of habeas corpus? What is a bill of attainder? What is an ex post facto law? Enumerate the powers denied to the several states. What are bills of credit? How many elementary students today, or even adults in this so-called modern and advanced generation, could answer such elementary academic questions as these from a century ago? Consider one final example of the educational content of previous generations. It is this book, The Federalist Papers. Written in the years 1787 and 1788 by 3 prominent founding fathers, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay, this work explained to the citizens of the new United States why a federal constitution was needed. Even today, this work is still considered the single most authoritative source on the intent of the Constitution. There's currently a law professor in Alabama who requires his law students to read this book, all of it. And why not? Before they can become attorneys, they'll swear an oath to uphold the Constitution. So why not learn about the intent of the document they'll swear to uphold? Yet those law students, enrolled in today's graduate-level legal studies, regularly complain to him about the difficulty of reading that old book. That professor nods sympathetically and responds, "I understand. This book was not written for someone at your educational level. This book was written for the common, average, upstate New York farmer of 1787. Perhaps someday you, as a graduate student, will attain the educational level of those early New York farmers." Indisputably, our early educational system was remarkable. In fact, since it was responsible for producing the longest ongoing constitutional republic in the history of the world, it is worth looking more closely at what, for 4 centuries, made the American educational system so successful and so different from all others.
in the philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of the government in the next.
Oh, that's good.
In Princeton. Harvard was started by the Congregationalists as a school to train
Those
ministers
were-
of the gospel. It produced signers of the Declaration, such as John Adams, John Hancock, Samuel Adams, William Ellery, William Hooper, Robert Treat Paine, William Williams.
So Harvard was a Christian school, as was Yale.
At Harvard,
At Harvard, they had to say, this is one of my favorite quotes. Everyone shall so exercise himself in reading scriptures twice a day, Harvard, that he shall be ready to give such an account of his proficiency therein.
In reading the scriptures twice a day, that he shall be ready to give such an account of his proficiency therein.
At Harvard, academic endeavors were built upon the foundation of biblical principles, and this was a philosophy of education that produced a significant number of those who founded our philosophy of government. Yale was another popular school of that day, and like Harvard, it was started by Congregationalists as a school to train ministers of the gospel. It produced signers of the Declaration such as Lyman Hall, Philip Livingston, known as Light Horse Harry Lee, a true friend of liberty and America, would promote religion and bear down on profanity and immorality. Why? Because it was understood that American government was merely a reflection of American citizens. If citizens became profane and immoral, the government would become profane and immoral. And history has proven that such governments do not survive. So naturally, a friend of America would promote religion and morality. Not only did prominent American educators such as John Witherspoon equip students with a biblical foundation in academic education, but they were so committed to sound education for all students that they directly confronted 2 centuries of tradition and law imposed on them by the British and founded some of the first schools for women and for African Americans, something unheard of at that time. For example,
So,
John Witherspoon personally...
One of the important I told you one of the important reasons for reading. Here's the you're saying, Doc.
Education based on God's Word. This Bible-centered emphasis on education was common in subsequent education laws as well, a fact confirmed by the records of foreign visitors to America. Following America's surprising success as an independent nation, foreign observers would travel here to investigate what had caused America's rapid rise. These foreign visitors would document our various customs and practices and then return to their native countries and publish the results of their investigations. One such foreign visitor was Frenchman Alexis de Tocqueville. His observations on the religious nature of American public education are recorded in his work. Originally called The Republic of the United States of America and its Political Institutions Reviewed and Examined, today it is simply called Democracy in America. Briton Edward Kendall was another foreign visitor who reported the same fact about the religious element in public education in America in his 3-volume set. As he traveled from state to state, he would document the diverse aspects of American life, from courts of justice to Indian missions, from prison systems to theaters and public entertainments. While in Connecticut, Kendall had examined American education, and he found the state's illiteracy law of interest, particularly the opening declaration of that law.
This legislature, observing that, notwithstanding our former orders made for the education of children, there are many persons unable to read the English tongue, and thereby incapable of reading the holy word of God or the good laws of this state.
Notice the reason that the Connecticut legislature had been concerned about illiteracy. If a child could not read, then he would not know the word of God or the laws of the state. This meant that if the legislature enacted a law that contradicted the word of God, then citizens might not prevent its passage. Another famous education law was called the Northwest Ordinance. It was the first federal law to address education. Significantly, that law was passed at the identical time and by the identical founding fathers who drafted the First Amendment, the very same amendment that the courts now interpret as prohibiting the presence of religious activities in public schools. Interestingly, Article 3 of that federal law directly linked religion and public education together, declaring,
Religion and morality and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and means of education shall forever be encouraged. I encourage you to put that to your memory. I constantly quote it to people because I'm like, George Washington put in the Northwest Ordinance that religion and morality are necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall, you know what the word forever means? Forever be encouraged.
Religion, morality, and knowledge.
Address religion, morality, and knowledge. But the effect of that law was seen in more than just textbooks. It was also quite evident in state constitutions. For example, when Ohio penned its first state constitution in 1802, that constitution declared,
Religion, morality, and knowledge being essentially necessary to the good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the
nurtured in the lap of the church, but that as the nation grew and the number of inhabitants in America increased, the church voluntarily relinquished control of elementary education to the state. Yet the philosophy of education did not change. In fact, The state superintendent of public instruction even declared,
if the study of the Bible is to be excluded from all state schools, if the inculcation of the principles of Christianity is to have no place in the daily program, if the worship of God is to form no part of the general exercises of these public elementary schools, then the good of the state would be better served by restoring all schools to church control.
State public education leaders believed that if public education ever reached the point that it did not inculcate religion, morality, and knowledge, that it did not teach the Bible in schools, did not inculcate the principles of Christianity, and did not incorporate the daily worship of God, then the country would be better off if the state gave all of its schools back to the church. So closely was religious faith embraced as a part of a sound public education, even on the university level, that in 1860, 262 out of 288 college presidents were ministers.
Literally pastors. 262 out of 288 college presidents in 1860 were pastors.
Yeah.
Pastors.
Plans, authoring textbooks, or starting universities. One of those early educational leaders was Dr. Benjamin Rush, a signer of the Declaration of Independence who also served in 3 presidential administrations. Dr. Rush had helped found 5 colleges, 3 of which still exist today. He was also a university professor, authored numerous textbooks, and was possibly the first founding father following the ratification of the Constitution to propose nationwide public schools, for which he may be titled the Father of Public Schools under the Constitution. In one of his famous educational policy papers, A Defense of the Use of the Bible as a School Book, Dr. Rush set forth nearly a dozen reasons why the Bible should always remain the principal textbook in American education. He closed that piece with a succinct warning on what would happen in America if the Bible were removed from schools.
In contemplating the political institutions of the United States, I lament that if we remove the Bible from schools, we waste so much time and money in punishing crimes and take so little pains to prevent them. For this divine book, above all others, favors that equality among mankind, that respect for just laws, and those sober and frugal virtues which constitute the soul of our government.
Since the Bible dealt with the heart, the source of all crime, Dr. Rush saw the Bible as the only sure means to prevent crime. He therefore predicted that if we cease to teach the Bible in schools, then America would expend great quantities of time and
energy making
money
everybody
and
better
punishing.
people. And that is what is exactly happening right now. How many of you have heard that Benjamin Franklin was the least religious of our founding fathers? Well, he and most of our founding fathers were educated. My favorite is on the New England Primer.
Content of the first core element, the rhyming alphabet, and recall that for 2 centuries, this alphabet was a key part of public education in America.
2 centuries, 200 years of America.
A, in Adam's fall, we sinned all.
That's it. That's all you need to know. School's over. A is for Adam, and we all sinned. Thank you, Adam. And you know what it doesn't say there? Eve.
B, heaven defined, the Bible mind. C, Christ crucified for sinners died, and so on. The second key element of the primers was the alphabet of lessons for youth. This section was the ABCs in a bold column running vertically down the page, with each letter of the alphabet accompanied by a Bible verse. A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother, from Proverbs 10:1. B, better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith, from Proverbs 15:16. C, come unto Christ, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and he will give you rest, from Matthew 11:28, and so forth. The third section common to the primers was the shorter catechism. Before looking at this section, realize that the primer was the equivalent of a first grade textbook. Even though there were no grade levels in early American education at that time, the primer was the beginning reader. It was where students began. So today we would call it a first grade textbook. Notice these first grade questions. Which is the 5th commandment? What is required in the 5th commandment? What is forbidden in the 5th commandment? What is the reason annexed to the 5th commandment? We were teaching the 10 commandments in America's public schools? Yes, for centuries. Not only was the New England Primer reprinted by Samuel Adams for students in Massachusetts, but it was also reprinted by Benjamin Franklin for students in Pennsylvania. This might surprise many today to learn that Benjamin Franklin was involved with such a religious school book, for he's considered to be one of the least religious of our founding fathers. It is true that Franklin was one of the least religious founders, but ironically, he definitely was more religious than many so-called religious individuals today. In fact, it is not even surprising that Franklin would reprint such an overtly religious school text, for he had long demonstrated his support for teaching Christian principles in public education. Recall the fact already discussed that Franklin helped found schools for African American students where both academics and the principles of Christianity were taught.
Okay, so
I asked Leah muted. I said, can you name the 5th commandment? Now you need to look it up. She guessed, honor your mother and father.
Oh my goodness.
Leah, the theologian.
Making me sweat. Making me sweat.
Good job.
Jeez, don't make me sweat. Okay, so what have we learned so far? Okay, we're gonna do a test. We have learned that the American system of education was founded upon the Word of God. We have learned
The original,
the American
not-
system of education,
not the
original,
modern
not the modern
Prussian
one
version.
That the Prussian version took over, and it was designed to control our minds, and it really
Sorry,
put
John.
us into a place of slavery.
Yeah.
In our minds, in our souls. I am going to play for you guys one more from our good friend John Taylor Gatto, and then I want to play for you a few videos on what I think education should look like. So I believe he is correct when he says school is a 12-year jail sentence.
Adult lifetime spent teaching school, I believe the method of mass schooling is the only real content it has. Don't be fooled into thinking that good curriculum or good equipment or good teachers are the critical determinants of school time. All the pathologies we've considered come about in large measure because the lessons of school prevent children from keeping important appointments with themselves and with their families to learn lessons in self-motivation, perseverance, self-reliance, courage, dignity, and love, and lessons in service to others too, which are among the key lessons of home life. 30 years ago, these...
Yes, it's applause line.
30 years ago, these things could still be learned in the time left after school, but television has eaten up most of that time. And a combination of television and the stresses peculiar to two-income families or single-parent ones have swallowed up most of what used to be family time as well. Our kids have no time left to grow up fully human and only thin soil wastelands to do it in. A future is rushing down upon our culture, which will insist all of us learn the wisdom of non-material experience, a future which will demand as the price of survival that we follow a pace of natural life, economical and material cost. These lessons cannot be learned in schools as they are. School is like starting life with a 12-year jail sentence, where bad habits are the only curriculum truly learned. I teach school and win awards doing it. I should know.
Oh, so good.
Oh my gosh.
Love that,
Oh
man.
my gosh. It is bad habits. Bad habits. So back to Michelle's conversation with a friend and talking about a couple kids who maybe don't have the very best work ethic. And I would say that it is not their fault. And like I said, not even their parents' fault. It is the fault of the American education system, because the teachers are not working. The teachers don't like what they're doing. I want to find this particular this video here by Joel Salatin. Guys, when we have kids come to our farm, they love to butcher chickens, and it is hard work.
It is really, yeah.
I will get a group of kids, and you guys know your kids, and they will just capture chickens for hours. Okay.
It's a messy job. It's a hard job. You get scratched up. You know, these chickens don't want to be caught. At some point, they catch on to what's going on out there.
Good kids raised and homeschooled kids, I will say, if there's a job that they don't like, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I believe that you can find a job that they will like, because good kids, regular kids, normal kids want to work. They want to be put to work. Can I do that with you? Can I help you with that? How many, you were talking about little Emma from the craft show. Like, she just went, can I do that? 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 Show me how to do that. Can I sweep? Can I do this? Kids want to be put to work, not in a negative way, but in a good way. But I was thinking about this with public school teachers and how they are not taking kids out in the woods to cut down a bunch of trees to identify them and make some bunch of baseball bats on the lathe. They're lazy.
From hickory and ash.
I'm going to tell you, if you are a public school teacher, I'm not.
We have friends that are. Be careful.
I'm not going to say you are inherently lazy.
Right.
But I'm going to say the job breeds laziness.
Yeah.
It is lazy
Do you
to
know
just
what our
read a book to kids and give them a test. Rather, it is hard work to come up with projects that our friend put together for the homeschool class, like actual hands-on work. And when we did our class on over the fire canning, those kids were ready to roll, man. Go.
Can I talk? Got my hand raised. I learned this. You know where I learned this?
School.
Public school. So our new friend that is a teacher, who we love so much.
Can
I finish my sentence?
She's a student intervention. Interventionist.
To me here.
Yes.
You know what she told us?
What?
The teachers are no longer allowed to bring their cell phones to school.
Do what?
They can't have phones. The teachers cannot have phones. I was like, that feels like an invasion of your own privacy and personal rights.
What do
as
you
being
mean
a teacher.
they can't bring
Do
their...
you know what she told me? Do you know what she told me for why they're not allowed to bring their... Would you like to guess?
Because they're on them too much?
Because they on them too much.
Because the kids are reporting them?
I don't know who's reporting them. All I know is those teachers aren't doing a daggum thing because they on their phones.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Like, that's real. I was shocked. Because first of all, I would never have a job where you can tell me that I can and cannot have my cell phone. Like, I'm offended. But at the same time, if you, like, I would never cross my mind to be on my phone while I'm educating children.
Okay, this is a good video.
You know what my teacher used to do?
What?
They would read books, like if it's test time, right? Bring you a book, man. I love reading. I feel selfish when I read. So I would take it as time to read.
You have to like to work. And when the children are around mom and dad that are complaining about, oh, I got to go out and, sweep the porch or whatever, when we're complaining about our chores and our jobs, when we have no sacredness to the things that we do, well, the kids are going to pick that up. So part of it is for us as parents, we have to appreciate that all that we're doing, from cleaning the toilet to planting the tomato plant, that is all sacred. It is sacred stuff. It is an extension of God's participatory hand in life.
Yes,
one of the most helpful things, little tidbits that I always give parents, is never give time-oriented tasks, give task-oriented tasks. In other words, never say, go pick beans for 30 minutes, because there's no incentive to do it efficiently, to do it well. Just, you got to pick beans for 30 minutes.
That's good, Joel.
But if you say, pick from here to here, so you give it task instead of time, here to here, when you get done, I'll read you a story, we'll, go for a walk, whatever the reward is. When it's task-oriented, then you teach efficiency and faithfulness.
That's good.
Yes. Yes. If your kids don't love hard work, it's because they haven't seen you model it. My mom, one of the things my mom always taught me was to love to clean.
I know.
Cleaning is a good thing. It's work, or to shovel, or to rake, or to do hard work. And you see your parents model it and they make it good. They make it exciting. My mom would reward us. Let's go get some ice cream. Let's do that. You did it. And praise, it goes a long way.
But
right?
I still don't want to put a lot of onus on the parents at this point, because, and I mean this genuinely, our first half of the show was showcasing the compulsory public school system that turns your child into a zombie, where they're not developing properly. Their brains aren't, their hormones aren't, they're like, you have a motivation gene within you, right?
Yeah.
And the public school system turns that off.
Yeah.
Right? So,
sorry, I'm trying to close these, but they keep playing.
You're not a self-starter.
Yeah.
The public school system does not garner self-starters.
Yes. All right. So here is where I'm going to make a switch to schooling that I think is helpful. And this is an example of like an outdoor forest school in New Zealand. And this child's getting ready to go.
I love that so much.
Kids hate that. They hate it. Sanctuary. It's...
This is awesome. It's like camp. Education is camp. The mum. We're not screening.
It's nature.
Oh, shoot.
And test
Thanks,
individual boundaries.
Alrighty, when
told
you
her to
hear
call
your
me next
name,
month.
can you please go around the fire circle clockwise, like we've been learning? Okay, good morning, Costa.
Yeah.
Which way are you going to go
Go
around?
ahead.
Clockwise, good job. Good.
About 20 children experiments and figure out how to solve problems on their own. Each success strengthens their self-confidence.
My hands are sore, it just took me ages. Pull it this way, like to make a spark.
As soon as the fire is lit, the clouds disperse and the sun comes out again.
Time to open the litter box. It's all right, he's doing well. Okay. Good job. Okay, guys, let's go and open the litter box.
Each morning, one of the children is allowed to open the mailbox. The letter is read aloud in the forest at the so-called home tree. It usually describes a task for the day. The children believe the letters come from a mythical creature named
You gotta
Tanifa.
draw the line there.
Tanifa, the kind of mythical lizard kind of dragon creature that we have, and he lives in the water.
Skip that.
Down
You're
there,
not
got
doing
money on it,
dragon
and then it
mythical
just
letter sending.
falls apart. Like,
Attend the school for
this
free.
looks legit.
3, 2, 1, go, jump.
Meanwhile, Miro's team has come up with a plan. The raft is going to be constructed of tree limbs lashed together. Underneath, barrels will provide the necessary buoyancy. But then there's a problem.
I just came up with another idea. What? There's lots of sharks in the woods. No, there isn't, Sam. Don't be silly.
Sam wanted to make a spear to defend the raft from sharks. The others thought it was unnecessary. Now, he doesn't want to participate anymore.
I feel
Okay, so we're gonna make the barrels.
2 became God.
Okay,
There's
so
another demon.
Oh my
God
gosh.
of
Hey, New Zealand, can we talk?
Can we talk, New Zealand? You need to.
I
get
like
rid of your-
this. I like this, but
Yeah.
we need more Jesus, less demon
yeah,
creatures.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to do a couple more on the hands-on school in the woods. I really like the idea of the school in the woods.
Must have found him somewhere else, huh?
This may look like recess. This may sound like recess, but at Red Oak Community School, they don't have recess.
We're an elementary school. We're an elementary middle school. We teach the same stuff. We do it outside.
Yes.
Are they fishing?
Cheryl Ryan created the school on the Northeast Side. Technically, all the kids are homeschooled. They're just homeschooled together.
I never set out to start a nature school. I just wanted a place where my kid could learn.
Hey, watch this. I'm watching.
The students spend 2 hours a day.
Every time a child says, hey, watch this.
Outdoors, rain or shine.
There's something about
it's snow.
The color of the sky and the leaves and the sounds of nature that calms their brain in a way so
Yeah.
that when they go in, they can learn. I see some paper in there.
Cheryl describes this as a nature immersion school, focusing on the lessons and not the grades.
We don't do tests, we don't do grades, we don't do homework. I don't come at this as a researcher I don't have a degree in education. I'm a mom and I know what works for my kid, and that's how all of us got involved. We were all just parents that knew what would work for our kids, so we just did it.
And it is growing. They're in the process of building a new campus for a new school that almost seems to be old school.
When people ask me how the school is going, I'm like, the kids are happy and they're learning.
Cheryl also does not allow screens at.
Okay, so do you have more you want to play?
No, go ahead. I have others, but go ahead and talk.
Well, I was just thinking about, I'll save my thoughts for my final thoughts. I love this. Please, I'm not going to poo-poo this is amazing. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that there's an even better way, and Leah knows what we'll get to that at the end as the wrap up of the show.
Yes. I like this as an option. The Waldorf classrooms are actually really upscale for like rich kids.
Hi, welcome to Acorn Hill Waldorf Kindergarten and Nursery.
That room just looks amazing.
This room is our parent-child room and also a 3-day nursery class. Everything in the classroom has been thought of to the last detail. The color of the walls in the room, for example, this sort of mottled pink, we call it lazuring, is meant to have no sharp edges so that the children can continue in a sort of very open state with each other. The rainbow cloth doesn't hold the children in any one place, in any one hard edge, for example, when they play in the kitchen. This wreath that's hanging when we have our
So you get the indoor stuff and then
a flute or a glockenspiel, and the
This is
And then
more
you
like
have-
a
Once they-
Montessori school.
The
Yes.
kindergarten
And then
plays
they have an outdoor
in warm
space.
weather. We like to eat snack outside on these picnic tables. The sand pit, as you can
That
see,
looks super fun.
is very big, and the children do a lot of
children. Every moment they're balancing, every moment they're strengthening their legs, and they're breathing.
So this is a holistic view of school. And now, guys, I know where Michelle's going to go, and that's the Joe Salatin way, where we're putting kids on a farm and just teaching them on a farm. But there are other ways. There are other things. You don't always have to. You don't always have to just be yourself and do it all yourself. I appreciated this video.
Screecher.
Let me see. This is what I wanted to do for. Where's the high schoolers?
No.
Okay, this one. So these high schoolers are learning outside
Us all. And so part of
in nature.
Take the rock and then you just rub it. So do a little bit of that. And your eyes are probably better than mine. I always just look for anything small that's moving.
So you could do a class on invertebrate animals or insects.
Yeah.
Or you can take your kids out
Yeah.
into a stream,
Dear God.
grab some fossils, and then teach them.
Oh, we're doing fossils? Because that kid
Yeah.
earlier had a live one.
I believe, yeah, I think we were doing fossils.
Earlier it was a live.
Well, they were, I think they were doing fossils. I think a sample of macroinvertebrates. They're assessing the stream, bank for erosion, temperature, different things like that.
See, that's a-
Nitrate.
no,
Yeah.
that's-
water striders.
water striders. Yeah.
Science, when I think of science, I think like all chemicals and stuff. So like last year I took chemistry, so that's what I thought of science, so it wasn't too entertaining. But since this is like specifically environmental science, so it's kind of more interesting because it's like what's around us.
Chemistry should not be boring.
Mm-hmm.
You should be blowing things up.
What?
Chemistry. You should be blowing things up. You know.
You want to make bombs?
Things should fizz or something. You should see reactionary.
They do that. They
things
do that.
to all the elements. You should know the periodic table and how the elements interact.
Yeah, but they do that in science
acid,
class and stuff.
Sometimes a little bit, but not really. She just said it was boring. Shouldn't be. Chemistry should not be boring.
No.
Okay.
I agree with that.
It's better to actually do this stuff instead of just sitting down and being told about it. Because you actually
That's it.
gain
That's
the
what I'm trying to tell you. It's every single child on the face of the planet. But guess what? It's not, you can't mass produce it.
Yeah.
You can't put 500 kids out on that creek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have to scale it down. You have to know the kids one-on-one. You have to get the kids there, right? You can't, school today is industrial farming for children so that they can then become human resources of the state. But I love that what the humanity and God, the way God made us as humans, we are very, most of us, we're very inquisitive.
Yeah.
And there are a few good people that see that the educational system is horrible, hated it, and are dedicating their lives to sacrifice to help others to learn how to learn and to teach parents how to teach.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that a homeschool parent needs to do it all, do all your classes, do all your things, because there's a lot of different co-ops out there. There's a lot of different ways. Find something where your kids can join an outdoor class like this. Okay, go and here's the thing, guys. All your kids need to learn is how to read and some basic math and then unleash them. Unleash them. Fuel where they're good at. Okay, fuel it. They'll be fine. Okay, the stuff that we learned, guys, it was mostly a wash. It was a waste. What if we took the time to learn? What if your kid want to play an instrument? Teach them how to play an instrument. Maybe they want to learn how to, go teach them to pick some berries, can the berries. Like there's a lot of different things. So much math in canning. So much math in measuring volume, so much math in measuring the volume of a lake outside. There's so many things where the problem is these teachers don't know how to do it. The teachers don't know how to go out and measure the volume of a lake. They don't know how to go out and measure the volume of a swimming pool or something like that. Like they don't know how to do it. So all they know how to do is read things in a book, recite what they know, and then have the kids do a test. Right? So a couple more videos that I thought were kind of cool on outdoor schooling. I think this one was why outdoors education is foundational. Yeah.
I'm not aware of many school districts that are really looking at students from a whole student perspective. Right? We know that we are responsible for the academic component. We know that we need to move students toward career and college and help them figure out what they are becoming so that when they walk across our graduation stage, they're in process and on their way toward that. However, we also understand the need for students to develop in a way that's beyond academic.
Experiential and adventure education pushes students physically, emotionally, and socially into realms and boundaries that they may not traditionally get into.
For a lot of kids, today was the biggest challenge they'll ever face, and it was the hardest day of this trip.
And it's when students enter into those spaces that they are equipped and introduced into a really unique part of themselves. And it's that self-discovery and that collective experience that provide them with a full-body learning experience that can really shape a lifetime. There's a threshold of allowing them in a spectrum that you want them to experience some level of discomfort because that's where growth happens. But when it becomes the risk of it could make an experience miserable, that's kind of the threshold that I don't want to surpass, especially when I gauge a kid and recognize their limits. My name is Nick Johnston. I teach at Lake City Area Schools, and I serve as the lead trip facilitator, where I am responsible for the planning and implementation of our outdoor adventure trips. Lake City Area Schools offers an incredibly unique experience to students through the realm of experiential education. In specifics, through our backpacking program, students were offered an experience where they could go out into the backcountry with school staff and experience the full realm of planning, preparation, development. A lot of the techniques and strategies are methods built on lots of different frameworks, but begin by essentially getting students to step out of their comfort zone and into a zone of growth. And I want to develop that both in the classroom and in the field.
You know, it's a great question. The value of experiential adventure outdoor education, really any of those pieces, is to offer students opportunities to talk about things that really matter in life. And I know that that's a pretty simple guideline, but truly that's what we do. Whether it's a backpacking experience, a camping experience, an activity that we do, those are simply a vehicle for us to talk to students and groups about the things that really matter.
This programming for the kids is so good to be able to disconnect from their world at home and from their devices that everyone is so connected to, adults, students, everyone, where you can be reached at any second. Like you're here and you're able to be where your feet are, be grounded and be connected with those people around you and just be able to have those deeper discussions.
I think it's important to connect with the kids outside of the classroom because it's such a open environment and they don't see you as such an authoritarian. It helps them open up and be cool with you.
Although they may see that teacher as a core content instructor, when they get with them out in the backcountry or on an adventure course, what it does is it exposes them to the humanity of that teacher or that instructor, and it's that humanness that makes them someone that students are willing to learn from. Somebody told me a long time ago that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I believe that enhancing and developing connections through relationships, especially in the field of experiential education, is the framework for quality instruction.
Our goal in taking students out, whether it's for a backpacking trip or placing them on a ropes course or giving them a climbing wall opportunity or simply doing an activity out in a green space, to one, build a sense of confidence in self and their own abilities, but to secondly, and as importantly, build a deeper connection.
One of the things that's really unique.
So you get the idea, and I think, Michelle, you can kind of give your final thoughts on tonight's show and how, every child is going to be different. And I think that we are born inquisitive. And I have a bookshelf of things here, and my topics that I love learning about and what I would have loved to learn about in school is how to use herbs and go outside, show me how to gather certain wild herbs, make tinctures, then show me how to use them to heal. I, at my heart, and I think a lot of people want to heal. And I think that most kids and most of us are very excited if we can learn how something in nature can heal. Like we can be our own doctors. I love, this is my go-to self-sufficient life and how to live it book. It's not just about raising animals or cultivating fruits and vegetables, but how to raise pigs. And I did read this, how to raise pigs. There are things on in here, shearing sheep, collecting water, irrigating land, making use of woodland, fencing, harvesting, growing crops for oil. So I love this one. There are, let's see.
How about get the Forgotten Arts and Crafts? That's a good one.
That one's good. This is a pretty intense book on butchering.
Yeah, that's intense.
I tell you, I also love.
It's convenient that our bookshelf is right next to
learn
ours.
about the stars.
No, that's amazing.
And I love to learn about that. So I got all kinds of books on the things that I enjoy, that I want to learn. And do you know that your brain has neuroplasticity? What does that mean? You can create your neurons can create new pathways. And if you are learning new things, your brain will stay young. And so the more we learn, and the more inquisitive and just really have a zest for life and learning new things, the younger we'll be, and kind of like the longer we live. So I think that that's why you guys watch our show particularly and like to learn how to butcher or can or do, those things. Education is not about our childhood. And I think that when we bifurcate education to be, okay, we're going to make sure that kids know this. Kids don't need to know anything. They need to know God. They need to know virtues. They need to know morals. They do need to know how to read. And it's helpful to learn a little bit of math from somebody. But again, you can learn math through reading. The whole world is your oyster when you can read. So John Quincy Adams' father, John Adams, he would go overseas quite often, and he would leave his education to his son. And one of the things that he had his son do, John Quincy, is he would have him for like the year or something, pick 5 books, 5 subjects, read them, and then write to his dad, what did you get out of it? That was his education. Find something that you truly want to know. Read it. Really, really read it. Tell me about it. Tell me what you learned. How did it change your life? What did you learn from it? What did you grasp from it? Subjects that you are picking. That makes a creative thinker. That makes an inquisitive mind. That takes that zest for learning that we all have. We all want to learn. We never stop learning. People said lifelong learner. Well, how do you want to learn and then teach your kids that way? That way. Why don't you teach your kids? You want to learn hands-on. You want to learn through like a cool YouTube on how to fix a car. Like Matt, dude, is constantly learning because we constantly needed things fixed around here, right? It's learning, it's education, and you're not thinking of it. He doesn't get a gold star or a cookie break. He does get a hamburger break.
I was gonna say.
Right. He has lots of
Kids'
hamburgers.
food.
Okay. But yeah, so reward yourself and teach your kids the way you want to learn. And I think after I graduated from high school was when I started to learn hands-on. I picked subjects, read them, and applied them. That's real learning. Boom.
Those are your final thoughts?
Embrace, put your name in there. Embrace the Leah-ness of the Leah. Embrace the Michelle-ness of Michelle. Embrace the Sherry of the Sherry. Embrace who you are. And then that'll teach you how to embrace that of your kid and pull your kid out of the system and embrace the kidness of your kid. They will thank you for it.
So there's a sliding scale of detoxing from the public school system. And I think that for compulsory education, you know, the design there that we all pretty much most of us went through in some form or another. I love these forest schools. I love the hands-on thing because a lot of parents still can't stand to be around their kids or they work. So for you, that might be a good option. I'm going to tell you that if you're the parent that has said to me over the years, and I've heard this a lot, Michelle, I can't educate my kids because I'm not smart enough. That's patently false. But here's the thing. If there is any truth to it, then you didn't learn things that you need to know. And the best way to relearn them is to go through it with your child again. In an ideal world, kids would be raised on some land with animals where they get the opportunity to wake up and be a part of the family system that exists.
Yeah.
The chores, the food prep.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah.
And then the education is the reward. My friend Jessie's kids are addicted to math problems. And I mean addicted. She can't stop them. Like she has to stop them from doing math problems because they love it so much.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay. So when you have my big plan, which here's the problem is you can only have a big plan until you actually have kids because every child's way of learning is different and unique. But my big plan that I think the overarching works well, okay, is to have your entire day be your education for your child and they participate in life and they have the same responsibilities, but they also get to play throughout the day because that's the kidness of the kid. Kids should never be forced to sit for 12 hours a day. God did not design them to do that. What are the scriptures that talk about the calves, the young calves being let out and they like are leaping and running and you know, because kids need to run all day long. And so what happens is these kids get diagnosed with ADHD or ADD or, you know, whatever, because if you take a pig and you put it in confinement, it's going to start tearing up the walls.
Right.
So you're punishing these kids and you're medicating these kids when these kids don't have a life of purpose. They don't have what would be called a normal life, embracing the kidness of the kid with the familyness of the family dynamic where kids get to, you know, before you go to bed at night, you get them excited. What are we going to do tomorrow? What's the plan? They're going to wake up and they're going to come to you and they're going to say, well, why aren't we out there milking the cow yet? Or why aren't we out there building this fence yet? You said we were going to, because how many times you tell a kid that you're going to do something and if you don't do it, boom, they are on you, right? So you would do that during the day and then the reward would actually be, instead of a TV or a tablet or a cell phone, books. That's actually a reward. And I know this because our Amish friends, they would find themselves slipping away, sitting under a tree, reading a book or not doing the things that they needed to be doing in their chores because that was the fun.
Right.
So we've got it inverted to think that you need to take the best hours of the day of a child and sit them down. That's absurd. You know, Cesar Millan, as I've been in the pet care business for 15 plus years, if he wants to teach obedience to a dog, the first thing he does is take it rollerblading. Wear that thing out. Wear the kids out first. And then when all of the zoomies are out of the kids and you've done education while they're doing their Zoomies, then they can sit down, then they can learn. Now, there's not many kids that wouldn't benefit with a lifestyle like that. And if you could put all kids in one box of learning, that would be the box.
Yes.
With the exception of other kids' learning styles outside of that.
Right.
Okay. It's not about, are you educating a child to read, to do your arithmetics and science? Like, is that what you're trying to do to raise a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you raising them to be self-motivated, responsible, kind, caring, empathetic, thinking of others instead of themselves?
It's all important.
And here's the thing, and this is the last thing that I'll say. I had to detox from the public school system.
You did. It took you a long time
before I could learn again.
It was a major detox.
So
we didn't know that's what it was.
My mom and I left the public school system in 7th grade. I tried very hard. I struggled so much to get through my 8th and 9th grade years. I did well, but it was hard on me mentally. So I didn't do my sophomore year and I didn't do my junior year. And my mom just let me not do any school for 2 years, 2 solid years. I'm sure she was starting to get a little bit worried. But in those 2 solid years of me being able to wake up and be creative and teach myself how to cook and do crafts and all of these amazing things, read the Bible for myself, do music for myself, detox fully 2 years from the public school, being creative, waking up on my own schedule.
Yeah.
I hit the ground running my senior year. I was so hungry for that education that I plowed through, not because I had to, but because I wanted to.
One of the hardest
3 years of school in 1 year.
Education, Cincinnati Liberty Christian Academy was one of the hardest, and Michelle did 3 years in 1 year.
And I loved every minute of it, and I retained all of it, almost all of it. And then I started doing things that I didn't need to do, like reading Shakespeare on my own, right? So recognize that the public school system and that form of education where kids sit, you have to detox from that. So if you pull your kids from public school, you might have to take a year to detox from that. Okay. I'm not telling you that it's going to be perfect and peachy keen and everything's going to go, because here's the deal. They've already been broken. The public school does something very, very well. It breaks children, breaks their spirit. It breaks their will. It breaks their dignity. So you have to heal that. And the good news is that God can heal it. Now, some of you may say, I went through the public school system, Michelle, and I did just fine. Okay, that's great. Good for you. You're an enigma. And today's public school system is not the same that it was when we were kids, to sound like an old fogey.
What do you mean you're fine?
Yeah.
You know, what you don't know what you don't know.
That's true.
You don't know what you missed, what you could have been.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
You know?
So let's pray.
Yeah.
God, we thank you so much for tonight's episode that Leah put together for us, that we are able to think outside of the box, that we have been trained to, hear the bell and jump. I thank you that we are getting set free from that. That is the entire reason why they were able to get us to comply when it came to COVID and the lockdowns and the masks and the 6 feet apart and the fear. So I thank you, Lord God, that we are all getting set free. Every single day we are healing from our time in the 12-hour-a-day prison, 12-year prison of every day, having to go and learn how to be a good subject of the state, learn how to grow up and be a human resource for someone else instead of being an entrepreneur and thinking for yourself and being creative. Lord, I just pray that if there's anybody out there that is really wanting to homeschool their kids and they don't know how, I pray that you would open doors, that you would send them people, you would send them a really great homeschool mom to suck them into the homeschool cult. Just kidding. And I just thank you that you are being glorified, that kids have the right every single day to wake up and to obey you and to listen to you for themselves. I thank you that you're giving these parents the tools that they need, the opportunities that they need, and you're setting them free from the brainwashing that this is how it's been done in my lifetime, so that's how I have to do it. It's not how we have to do it. We can do it a better way. So we give you all glory, honor, and praise through tonight, through this episode. And I just thank you that it sets people free, that it encourages them, and ultimately draws them closer to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You guys were going back and forth. Barry said that when he helped with Venture Scouts, me and a mate taught kids how to do raft making, and they thought they knew more than us. So we left them to it, and they got on the raft and it fell apart and they got wet.
Oh, no.
And Jim says when he was a kid, his friends would go into the woods near their house and they would lift the rocks and they would see the salamanders. And
that's a boy thing, right? That has never been me.
Barry, when he was a kid, he was feral kid, Lord of the Flies. He was given a kayak and he went to the wetlands and the waterways in Cambridgeshire and learned about nature and experimented in the wild. And
I've always wanted to pass little boys, but if they bring me snakes and stuff,
yeah,
I don't know.
So, all right.
That's
Thank you guys
adorable.
for joining us tonight. I hope you learned something, and I hope you learned the art of learning and the art of teaching.
And you can do it, guys.
And we have a chicken butchering class.
Oh, that's worth advertising for. Okay, so resistancechicks.com/chicken workshop 2026. See if it pops up on me. It is going to be September 5th from noon and then roughly till like 4 or 5. And then we'll do a potluck dinner again. Like I say every time, if you live within 3 hours, we make it so that you can drive in and drive out. You don't have to get a hotel. We make it super easy. You are the person that we want to be able to come. If that is not you, it's okay. There are chicken butchering classes, I'm sure, in your area that you can find. But you can go to resistancechicks.com. The banner is there. Just click on it and it will take you to register. I do need you to pre-register though. So we can have an idea of how many people are coming. So if you are planning on coming or even thinking about coming, shoot me an email so I can kind of set spots aside for you. I would adore you for doing that. So resistancechicks.com, just click on the banner, or you can go to Chicken Workshop 2026 and all the details are there. We have so many of you guys that come and have come every year. The Taylor fam is not going to be here this year, so I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. All all the old hats. I don't know. We have to get Catherine to come to help us out. Okay, you guys, I think that's it. Oh, last thing that I did want to advertise for, because we haven't in a minute, is Vicky Natale's Organic Body Essentials. I hadn't been using her little, what's the Flawless Face Serum in a minute. 3 days, boom, crow's feet gone. Like, I love that stuff. So organicbodyessentials.com. Use promo code RC at the checkout. It will save you 10%. I'm telling you, all of Vicky's products are all natural, all organic. You could eat them. I wouldn't recommend it. She has stuff that we do not have. Okay. Our products are amazing. I'll shout them from the rooftops, but I don't have some of the stuff that Vicky has. So I still am absolutely loving, like, her sugar scrub is out of this world. Crazy town, as Christine Cantrell says. Next time we'll advertise for Christine Skincare. But organicbodyessentials.com, use promo code RC at the checkout. You will save 10% on your entire order. So it's been a minute since I advertised for them and I wanted to. And the CBD tincture for if you have sore muscles or, kind of some joint issues or whatever. What's that called? I just want to say
Extreme
CBD.
terpenes.
Extreme terpenes. Thank you. So amazing. I highly recommend that. If you have something that's giving you a little squeaky and it's hurting, it's amazing. So I think that's it. Happy Earth Christ says, thank you for this evening. You guys are amazing. Let me check a couple more spots for comments, then we're going to sign off. We will be here tomorrow night for Corey's Gray Kingdom Awake Church. It will be live streaming only to our Rumble channel. Okay. So it's going to be live streaming to Corey's Rumble channel, to Corey's Facebook page, and our Rumble channel. So if you guys are missing us on Wednesday nights, we have transitioned to that. I'm going to be there for as many of those as I can. I don't know. You kind of almost promised that you were going to be there tomorrow night. I'm not sure if you will or not.
Oh, what were we going to do?
I don't know. We'll have to talk to Corey about that. But so Leah may even be on with us tonight, but it's like a Zoom where you can join in. You can actually come and participate, Kimberly Venzel. I keep calling you out on this. And have our Kingdom Talks. It's a Bible study essentially, because we can't have a real church because we're too spread out. And Corey, it felt, called by God to start this, and it's been amazing so far. We've done 2 weeks, I think. We're getting ready to do our third tomorrow night. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be there or be square. Don't forget to join the Facebook page, which is Kingdom Awake Church, over on Facebook. So I think that's it for our announcements. All right, you guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Then we'll see you on Friday for our domestic news. We will be here on Sunday, but it will just be Leah.
We're doing
this Sunday.
A double decker.
Double decker date night goes till 7 o'clock. Longest
That's
day
too
ever.
much. You're not gonna. No, they can't do it. We can only pick one day to goes till 7.
I know. I'd already registered. Okay.
Maybe you can get it.
Most professional podcast on the internet. Thank you for
It
tuning
is.
in.
It is exhausting.
We will see you guys next time right here from resistancechicks.com. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. God bless.